What's up, everyone? It's Nina Infinity, and it's Wednesday, so it's time for Infinite Talk with my co-host, John. How are you, John?
I'm doing very good. Very good. Very good. I'm glad to have Kamran here. So, yeah.
Yes, another very special guest this week, Kamran Pasha. How are you, Kamran?
I'm well. I'm glad to be on with two of my favorite people. And I love the fact that both of you have superhero logos going on here. We got Flash, and are you Batgirl or Batwoman or Batman? What do you got?
This is supposed to be Batman. I bought it at the boys section in Walmart. It's very sparkly,
is that section
though.
Still around? Can we still see that section?
Yeah, and I was like, okay,
this boys section or
it fits me, so I was like, I'm doing it. It's got, it's sparkly, and I like it. I like sparkles. See, check out the sparkles.
I like it. I can see the sparkles. Yeah, it's
awesome. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? We're going to be talking about Batman today. We're going to be talking about Superman. So I figured, why not? I kind of wish John had worn his Superman shirt now, though. The Flash, we're not going to talk about at all, but whatever.
Well, Superman is going to be the sort of haunting figure in the background of all. And he's sort of like, we don't know what's going to happen to Superman now that we've had all these like changes at Warner Brothers in the last hours, right? Who knows what's going to happen to Black Superman? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. But that Black Superman was supposed to be a thing, and I don't know if it's going to be a thing now.
I was like, it was like announced like last week, and now it's like unannounced.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, literally nobody saw this coming. I mean, the people at Warner is like the top guys were like, wait, you're selling us? Why didn't you tell us?
Yeah.
The head of the studio was like, what? I mean, this is really extreme Hollywood Machiavellianism. Like the studio had no idea it was being sold.
No, it was really crazy. I think it was Monday night it dropped. It was like in the middle of the night too.
Total top secret. And the word is like Kilar, whatever this guy is, the head of Warner Media, was like, oh, so you guys sold my company and I'm out? Wow. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, that's the whole town's talking about how it was done. It was done in a pretty egregious way, and maybe it was done on that way on purpose.
Mm-hmm. So, Kamran, would you like to just tell everyone a little bit about you? I know you don't really have a YouTube channel, but
I have one, but I don't put a lot of stuff up on it. But
okay.
Yeah. So I'm Kamran Pasha, and if those who don't know me, I'm a professional screenwriter, filmmaker, and a novelist. I've been working in Hollywood for 20 years. This April is the 20th year that I've been a member of the Writers Guild, and I've worked a lot in television. I've worked on some genre shows like Bionic Woman, and I've worked on Nikita, which is a nice action show. Most recently was a co-executive producer on Roswell, New Mexico, the Alien show, and so I've done a lot of stuff in the genre. I've been a huge Star Wars fan all my life, and I found all of you guys because I was sort of disappointed with where Star Wars was going, and I found John first. He was one of the early channels that I found when I was like, after The Last Jedi, I'm like, what's going on here, right? Am I crazy, right? And then I was looking on YouTube to see if there's anybody who shared my opinion. And at that time, I think it was John Talk Star Wars. I think that was your title, right? That was your company, right? And or that was the name of your channel. And then hey, Gypsy Warrior. And then and I love that you would, in those days, you would end every broadcast with Lord willing, maybe your finger in the screen, Lord willing, I'll see you next time, right? And for me as a Muslim, I was like, that's inshallah, God willing. I was like, I love this guy. I like this guy. And then I found Nina eventually, and she became my Persian sister. I'm Pakistani, she's Persian. We connected, and here we are.
Yes. The Middle Eastern connection for sure. It's always fun to talk to you, Kamran. And I think that you are an interesting person to me because you always have really, really spicy takes on Twitter, no matter about what it is, whether it's about
spicy pictures, but that's okay. It's part of it.
It's true. It's true. That's one of the things that kind of surprises me. Actually, my husband was talking about that, and he was like, isn't this guy supposed to be Muslim? Like, what's up with his
chicks?
Yeah, like that's a really like it clashes like with the Muslim.
Well, again, it's clashing with the stereotype, but
yeah,
like I said, and we don't, and again, we don't have to go deep into people's religion or personal belief, but I think we're going to talk about some of that stuff here. But yeah, look, for me, I mean, I am a practicing Muslim. I'm also Sufi, which is sort of an Islamic mystic, and we tend to be seen as sort of more on the much more liberal end of things. If any of you guys have read the very famous poet Rumi, he's very popular in America today, and he was a Sufi too, and we tend to look at things a little deeper than I think the image of the fundamentalist dude who's out screaming and shouting and hassling people is. And I love beauty, and for me, I live my life honestly. I love beautiful women. I don't have any problem with beauty. For me, a Sufi will say that women are the manifestation of God's beauty, like the divine beauty of itself. It takes the form of a woman. And so for me, when I love the feminine form, and amongst all my tweets, I have political tweets, I have tweets on religion, I have tweets on Bigfoot, and I have tweets on, I've got all UFO tweets nowadays, but I'll sprinkle in my beautiful women, and it just is what it is. But it also, part of that is also to shake up people's perceptions of the box. Like your husband is like, what's this up? And it's like, well, why'd you put him in that box? No,
I mean, that's even for me, like I was shocked because I have my own views as well, because as you know, I come from Iran, and I like they don't see women the way you just described in Iran, really,
of kind of fundamentalism, which I'm not part of, right?
Yes, exactly.
Sufis are persecuted, right? Sufis are, when the Iranian Revolution happened and Khomeini happened, well, the Iranian Revolution, as you know, didn't start off as a religious revolution. It's just get the Shah out, and then there's no charge, and then like, who's in charge? And Khomeini shows up with these guys, I'm in charge, right? Yeah. So, and that's how it played out.
They were used, literally.
I mean, that's how it played out. But Iran was the heart of Islamic mysticism for over 1,000 years. Some of the biggest mystics. Rumi spoke Persian, whatever, and so that's huge in the culture. And when the fundamentalists took over Iran, they smashed it. All the Sufi mystical orders were pushed into the shadows. Same thing happened in Saudi Arabia, right? So all religious fanatics don't like mystics, man. They don't like, because mystics are kind of relaxed, like me. Like, I mean, they love God, they love each other, they see God everywhere. And fanatics of any religion, they want it all very bifurcated. Right?
Yes, and that's very true. And I'm fully against, I mean, any type of fundamentalism, really. I think there's an old joke by a Middle Eastern comedian, actually, that said, you know, there's the problem is with the fundamentalist is the mental in fundamentalism. And
I would suggest that, you know, I went through I think all of us go through our spiritual journeys, right? I went through my period when I was really like right-wing fundamentalist guy, and, you know, and I've burned out of that, because that always burns people out if they actually stay in that too long. And I, you know, you got to, if your relationship with God isn't about love, it's not going to last, right? And so if it's about anger and power and feeling better than people, it's not going to last. And so I went through that, and it's a kind of obsessive compulsive disorder, right? The way to getting your life in order and then trying to control other people. And that's not spirituality, man. That's not the universe in my view.
Sure, and I agree with that. Did you have any comments about that, John?
No, I think it's a great point. I think sometimes too, it's even sometimes more of an emphasis on getting other people. You know, it's like trying to fix other people rather than, you know,
than fixing inside yourself.
Yeah.
What you said, you're talking about the mote in somebody else's eye, but look at the plank that's sticking out of your eye, man.
Exactly.
Dealing with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
and
it's good stuff.
I've heard John talk recently, actually. John talk. I've heard him talk on the Midnight Hour about some of the, you know, because he's rereading the Bible, and he's kind of discovering, like going through that self-discovery again, and he actually talks about that kind of stuff sometimes, and it's really interesting, even though I don't necessarily agree with everything. I definitely have a lot of fun interacting with him about that spiritual aspect, because I think we all, I mean, like, because you're kind of like on the Muslim side and he's on the Christian side, and I'm kind of, for the lack of a better word, I'm more of like the agnostic. Like I you know, believe in the higher situation and the universe and everything, but not necessarily a religion. Yeah,
and that's all. That's all cool. But, you know, this is the important thing. Look, we've got 3 different perspectives here, right? And 3 different cultural backgrounds. And yet we're friends. We interact with each other. We respect each other, right? And we let each other do their thing, right? And so, you know, I got into a little bit of drama this week, and I'll talk about it, because there's probably some people following who want to deal, who will say, well, this stuff. So I got into a little bit of drama this week, and I'll share it. And again, and please forgive anyone who's like, I don't want to talk about religion. I totally get it. I'm just talking about what I'm going through, and I'm not here to proselytize anything. I'm just explaining what I went through, right?
Okay, Kamran, before you do, let me just get these 2 super chats, and then we'll go into that. So Gypsy Warrior for $4.99, thank you so much, says, Kamran, I've written a bunch of scripts, but I'm not entirely sure how to get them read. Would you mind giving some advice on how to get in the industry?
That's multiple super chats. That's like $1 million super chat. Look, all of us as artists are trying to figure out a way to break through. The pivotal thing is this, and you hit the issue, which is how do you get it in front of it? You can have 10 scripts on your screen, your computer, but if somebody who isn't connected to the industry doesn't read them, you don't have any way of moving it forward. So the easiest way is, you know, your Steven Spielberg's kid's best friend, and then you can get it to Uncle Spielberg. Right? That's the easiest way.
Sure.
And actually, Hollywood, that happens, right? We talk about like the Hollywood inner club of people like J.J. Abrams. They were part of producer families. Like J.J. Abrams made his first movie regarding Henley at the age of 19.
Dan and Dave, the creators of Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah, Dan, and look, his dad is the president of the New York Federal Reserve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he wasn't necessarily Hollywood, but when your dad is the president of the New York Federal Reserve, people in Hollywood will take the meeting.
You got connections.
They'll take the meeting, and your script sucks. They'll give you another $10 million to redo the whole show, which is what they did, right? I mean, my script doesn't work. The pilot doesn't work. It's done.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones pilots didn't work. Here's another $20 million. Go do it again, right? And so when you're in a club, you can do that. So to answer this question, obviously you're not in the club. I wasn't in the club either, right? And you just got to find an angle. For me, I did the worst possible ways. I didn't know Steven Spielberg. My dad wasn't the head of the Federal Reserve. And so I just started sending letters, emails out to agents saying, I got the script. This is who I am. Here's an idea. Would you like to read it? That's the worst possible way. That's the way I got my first. I mean, it's the worst possible way, because you get everyone just said, no one has time to, who's this random person emailing me? And I got rejections or no response. And one person said, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea for a script. Let me send it. And months later, he actually bothered to read it and liked it, and he ended up representing me. That the pivotal thing is find any angle you can. A very popular way is there's all these screenwriting contests. There's a lot of them, and they're not a waste of time. If you actually have a good script that you can get like in a screenwriting competition, and they have judges that are in the industry, all you need is someone to go, actually, it's pretty good. Let me at least have, because the winners will usually get like $500 and a chance to at least have a phone call with like an agent or a producer that was in the judging committee.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff on Twitter too. Like, because I used to be part of the writing community, and they have like a nano, like the November writing month or whatever. And then if you do a little brief description and you tag that, and then basically publishers and agents are all reading those tweets and everything. And if they're interested, they'll contact you. Yeah. So there's definitely stuff going on like that.
There's like the Blacklist, which is a popular website that people they pay to have their scripts on there. I will say this, it is very popular. I knew the founder of the Blacklist when he was still like a young executive before the Blacklist was even an idea, and he was just a smart guy and he made something happen, and God bless him, he did it, and it's become very powerful. I don't know that a lot of people will get attention. People will read stuff like Hollywood people read stuff on the Blacklist, and you'll get like a lot of attention. I haven't seen a lot of those actually move forward. Like, I don't know that any ever got produced and ever got made, but any angle, but that's better than not having a way in, right? Any angle you can is get it in front of somebody, without being the weirdo who shows up at their apartment and knocks on the door with a script. And
don't be a fundamentalist.
Don't be a fundamentalist. And that, there's actually stories. I remember the story. I don't think it's apocryphal. I think it's real. I remember reading a story in like a history of Hollywood book where, someone apparently like parachuted into like a movie star's backyard with a script, like rocked himself in a parachute. And, he had a script, and of course security tackled him. Right. But it's like, that's not the way to do it, man.
No.
Do you think wouldn't you want to read a script though from a guy who was willing to do that though? Wouldn't you be at least interested? Like,
no, because this guy dude's gonna show up in your apartment, and and he's gonna have a gun.
I'm not saying you want to make the movie, but it's just kind of like what? Like,
I would read it.
What kind
John.
of mind produces that?
Yeah, I would read it. I'm not gonna lie.
What kind of script has been produced here? From the mind of somebody willing to do that.
There's an archetype. It's the Joker had that whole thing of like literally taking a comedian hostage because you're trying to get attention, right? That's actually based on an old film, from the 70s where, I think Robert De Niro was like this comedian, stand-up comedian, wasn't getting attention, basically took somebody hostage, right, to try to get attention. And so, it's an archetype because people are desperate. People are trying to find a way into the club, right? I was trying to find a way into the club, and by divine grace, I broke through, and then I found myself being punched back a lot, right? You make one step forward and 4 steps back, and you're like barely in the industry again. You try to get back, right? There is no rhyme or reason to answer that question, but the best thing is to find professional ways, like to submit your material, and know that there is no answer. You just keep trying. What you can do is this: you've got to master your craft. If you're a good writer, something will happen. Right? Through that persistence. If you're a bad writer, persistence ain't going to get you anywhere. If you're a good writer, the reason I was able to move forward is when the agent actually emailed me, sir, all right, send me your script. It was a good script. And then he got that script in front of a producer, and we sold something to Paramount like a couple of weeks later, and then suddenly my career started, right? It's because I had the chops. I didn't know I had the chops, but I did. And I discovered when the market reacted, right? And so
I guess like that's the other thing, right? Keep improving your craft, and the better you get at it, the more likely it is that you're going to get the positive response you want to get.
And there is there is no justice. You can be a genius, and it could be 10, 15, 20 years before you're noticed. Dick Wolf, who created the Law and Order franchise, spent a decade as a rejected screenwriter before he created Law and Order.
Wow.
He moved to LA at the age of 28. He created Law and Order at the age of 38. He had been an advertising executive in New York, and he said, I want to become a screenwriter. Spent 10 years, obviously he survived those 10 years, probably sold a couple of projects that never got made, and he kept going. 10 years later, he made Law and Order, and he's probably worth close to $1 billion now from that.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's still going. That show's still going on, and
it's syndicated. Right? Yeah.
They just announced new shows. They got 2 new shows coming. They just announced a new one coming out. Yeah.
Wow.
So
he found the formula though too. Like in terms of the show, because the show, I haven't seen the show a ton, but it does seem like it's very formulaic. But I mean, there's something to be said for that though too. He found something that worked for him. And he just rode that train the whole way.
And he's still riding it. And he's still riding it. And he's not trying nothing else. He's just doing what he knows how to do. Right?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he got good at it.
He's been a decade being rejected, right? And and so there's no rhyme or reason. People think there is none. The rhyme or reason is your J.J. Abrams family, and you know the people, right? That's the rhyme or reason. You don't have that. If you have that, you don't even ask that question, right?
Right. And speaking of J.J. Abrams, here we have 200-watt studios for $10. Thank you so much. Says Kamran, my theory was that AT&T sold Warner Bros. Before J.J. Abrams trashed the place with his garbage, bringing the value down. As soon as the sale was announced, new JJ shows were announced. Thoughts?
Yeah, I respectfully to 200-watt studio, I don't think that's what happened there. The people in the industry still see J.J. Abrams as one of the elite guys they trust. Many people in the fandom don't like what he's produced. They don't like where he's taken Star Trek or Star Wars or any of that, right? But the industry likes him, right? He's in the club. Like Rian Johnson is a huge in the club guy. Like, there's a huge disconnect from where this fandom is and the audience is versus who's in the club, right? And Abrams is really one of the high level people in the club. The next regime is going to still want his stuff, and it's just that disconnect is going to continue for a while. The reason is that because JJ, for two reasons. One is he's part of a connected family that goes back a couple of generations, so you can't erase that, right? Number one. Number two is he's very good at just getting the necessary success to move it forward, even if many people feel that what he set up then fails. The next guy comes in and there's nothing there, right? Because he hasn't given them anything but the mystery box, right? But it's enough to get it forward. Like, episode 7, $2 billion. Who can argue with that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Star Trek relaunches. Great. The next movie doesn't work. Oh, well, it's not my fault. But the foundation ain't there, right? But the industry just sees that one worked. Everything with his name on it works.
Yeah. And now, he's going to be dipping his foot into the animated series now with Batman and everything. And we'll get into that as well. But thank you so much, 200-watt studio, for your super chat. I appreciate it. Now, did you want to start talking about?
I want to talk broadly about something because we got a lot of people here in the audience. I'll talk about my specific thing, but it's about a bigger issue. Whether one likes how I handle some things this week or not, that's not the issue. The issue is I'm noticing something. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm like a YouTube guester, right? But I'm noticing something here, that there's something ugly happening in the fandom community that I had not witnessed before in the last several weeks. There has been a lot of infighting, a lot of accusations, a lot of this, a lot of that, I'm defending myself. I want to stay far the hell away from it, but it's really spreading, and it's spreading to different people, and it's all poisonous. And so we're getting a lot of people here in the fandom. I don't even use the word the fandom menace. I just call it the fandom because I think that's the point, is the menace is over. The menace is over. We've actually had major change, and we'll talk about that. I mean, despite apparent defeats and like Gina Carano and everything, it's all turning around, and we'll talk about that. But the reality is the fandom menace has won the menace, and the industry is shifting to adjust to the marketplace as a result of that. And what starts happening is when we're like, wow, okay, it looks like Miss Kennedy might be moving on from Star Wars. Well, now I got this resentment towards XYZ, who was my friend on the YouTube channel a week ago. And I have these resentments that have built up over a year or 2 years, and things have happened between us or whatever, or I feel falsely accused or something, and all of it's exploding. So that was happening generically, and I was like, oh, what's going on with this stuff? I don't want to stay far away from this. I got nothing. And then it started happening to me, in my opinion. So, look, anyone who follows me knows I post along with beautiful women. I post politics. A lot of stuff is happening in the Middle East and Israel. Not everyone's going to like my politics on that, but I post them, right? I post them without a shame, just like you can have a different opinion and post it on your page, right?
Sure.
But then, I posted something that started a weird reaction thread. I'm so happy that all these masks are coming off. Like in California, it's almost completely normal, at least like outside now. So I posted comment, I'm Muslim, and I posted something from the Prophet Muhammad where he said, smiles are charity, right? And it's a good thing. We should all be smiling. It's every day I'm walking around. And so that comment was very well received. But then some people in the fandom decided to say, well, Muhammad sucks. And yeah, he said that, but he also said all crappy things. He was a warrior, this, that, he's a pedophile, all these horrible things. I was like, man, these are people that I can tell have mutual friends with me on Twitter. They obviously, you go to their feeds, they're sharing same philosophy on entertainment and critiques of where entertainment is. but they're coming on. And before, these were people that were, I think some of them were probably saying, oh, Cameron's on YouTube, let's go check that out. But now they're coming onto my feed to insult my personal spiritual beliefs and my religion. So that's part of this weird ugliness that's happening. So I got really angry with that. I'm almost 50 years old, and a large portion of that has been having people insult my religion to my face and think it's like cool. And then they think you can go have a beer with them afterwards because it's just like, no, well, Muhammad was a pedophile, but I like you. So yeah, but I don't think we're going to be friends after that, right? And there's this weird energy of people saying, and then so some people said, well, because I said, okay, I don't like this kind of stuff that's happening. I said, look, I respect your religious beliefs. Just if you want to insult the founder of my religion, we're not going to be friends. And I said something that some people didn't like. I said, and I meant it as karma is coming for you. I said, you insult you, the founder of my religion, a curse is going to come upon you. And I use that phrase because it's sort of a Sufi phrase, right? Because Sufis aren't all love and peace. We can fight back. And so and what I meant by that clearly was bad karma. I'm not like saying I'm going to go to your house and fight you because you don't like Muhammad. Great, right? I'm just like, okay, bad karma is coming for you. So some people's like, well, that's an example of how you Muslims are real aggressive and not peaceful and whatever. I'm like, here we go. Now the next thing. So now you've got your next angle to go after me. I was like, I can't even say don't insult my religion, and now I have to I'm violent for saying karma is going to come for you, right? So and then I saw a lot of people in the fandom liking that kind of stuff, and then adding their comments. Like, what's going on here, man? So I started blocking people, and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm not interested in having, like I said, John here is a devout Christian. One of the things that I connected with is in his early videos, I felt the spirituality behind his critiques, right? And so I was like, I don't got no problem with nobody's religion. I mentioned in one tweet, I said, someone once came up to me in Hollywood and wanted me to help like do a rewrite on a script. This person was like an ex-Mormon. So they obviously, when you're an ex-anything, you got a lot of issues with that, right? So they had the script that's basically, talking about sort of Mormon fundamentalist polygamy and was all this and saying bad things about Joseph Smith and all that stuff. I'm not a Mormon, right? I'm not a follower of Joseph Smith or Brigham Young. I said I'm not going to be involved in that project, right? Because I don't feel the need to insult Mormon people. There's a lot of people that believe Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. The angel Moroni gave him his tablets, and he set up a good religion. It's a spreading religion. It's not my religion, right? But I'm not going to insult those people. You got a problem with Joseph Smith? You go deal with it. I got nothing to say about that, right? I'm going to go follow my path. I have nothing to say about this. I just wish all these people well, and every Mormon I've ever met is a good person, period. So I'm not going to be involved in this. And the person was like, well, all right. But that's my philosophy. And so getting back to where we are in the fandom, I think we need to start letting this energy that we were once directing at Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson and all stuff is now turning on each other. And that's going to destroy whatever good we've built here, and nothing good will come out of it. We're not going to create a better fandom culture that's going to hold Hollywood accountable. Hollywood is going to look at this and go, yeah, they really are a bunch of like racist bigots, this, and just look at them. They're sexist, and this person's accusing this person, that. They're all scum. Why should we listen to these people? Right? They're scum of the earth. If we devolve to that, the very power. I'm sorry?
I think.
Are we frozen? Are we not frozen?
Oh, I'm here. Okay.
You froze for a
little echoey.
Yeah.
Or I think I am too.
Yeah, I hear a little bit of echo, but I don't think it's me. Usually I have like all these screens open and it causes a problem, but it's not me this time. But yeah, that's just my point, is that once we devolve on this negative energy of like, instead of being united in shared values of entertainment, and that can often be shared values in politics, and that's fine, but it doesn't have to be. Right? Like one of my friends, Geek Illustrator Dad, right? I've never met the guy. He very proudly is an ex-Republican, right? Very proudly liberal, and we're friends. I'm conservative in a lot of things. I wasn't a Trump supporter for other reasons, but we're friends. And we don't, and he posts stuff that I don't agree with. I let him post it. I don't feel the need to attack him because we both agree that Star Wars was in a bad place, right?
Yeah.
And you ultimately know too, it's like if somebody has a certain belief, more than likely they're not, like, whatever you say, it's like, odds are you're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change yours. And that doesn't mean that we couldn't have a conversation if we wanted to, right? But I mean,
if it's a willing conversation, both people want to talk about it, great.
Exactly. But, with what you did, you just post something, you put it out there, and granted it's Twitter, so it's like, gosh, it's just all out. Yeah. But I mean, it's not like you're posting anything, negative. It's a positive tweet, and
you're my enemy. We're not buddies. If you come and insult my religion, I think that's a fair stance for anyone to say. If you come and insult religion, we're not going to be buddies. That's fair.
See, sure. I understand where you're coming from there, Kamran, but at the same time, I'd like to take a more Zen stance when it comes to that stuff, because because if you want to say, like, if you're my enemy, if you come and insult me, right? Because most of the time, right, people say those kind of things because of their, preconception, not understanding you properly, not understanding, your religion properly, like certain ignorance.
Social grace, though, you can, like I said, a lot of Christians don't like Joseph Smith. Mm-hmm. A lot of sort of traditional Christians don't think he's a real prophet. And they say all kinds of things about he got married to a bunch of women, he's polygamous, this and that. And I'm like, all right, but why don't you just focus on your understanding of Christ? What do you got to do for that? What's the point of going up and insulting Joseph Smith? How's that going to add any connection to anybody? Sure. Mm-hmm. No, I don't see how that. And I mean, I was aggressive because it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It hurt my feelings because I'm tired of it. And I didn't expect it I expect it from people who are already saying crap about me because they don't like my politics, whatever. I didn't expect it from the fandom.
Sure.
That's what hurt me so much.
Yeah, and that's fair, and it's uncalled for to do that kind of thing. But it's not nice, and it makes people bitter, and it makes people just more divided, right? So I'm just telling you from someone who understands you. My advice to you is that just take a step back and understand that a lot of people's misconceptions or those kind of bad comments come from a place of, most of the time, ignorance or not understanding.
Definitely ignorance. What is not ignorance is I'm going up to somebody and insulting their religion and thinking they're going to be cool with it. That's
right.
Any basic person knows that. It's like when you're a bigot, when you're saying a bigoted word to someone's face, you're not trying to be their friend. That's an act of aggression. You may have prejudices you could be prejudiced toward gay people. That's an internal prejudice. Then you go up to somebody and call them a gay slur. That's a different thing. That's a truth.
Right. And you're right. You're absolutely right about that.
I'm not trying to, look, I acted from a place of anger because I felt shocked that people that I had been following or following me were training up on this. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and in the 3 or 4 years that I've been in part of this community as just a member of it and getting a little bit of attention by being a guest on YouTube, I've never experienced it. And it started happening it's part of a bigger culture of something ugly happening.
I think it's also part of the culture of what's happening right now in the news, like in terms of the whole Israel-Palestine thing, which is such I feel like there's something in the air, to be honest with you, since like the last week. And I know all the drama you're talking about. I'm very familiar, and it's all very, very bad, and it's just not good. And I want to be as least as involved as possible as well. But I think everybody just wants to kind of collectively take a step back and try and reflect and understand. I think they should understand that, we all, like, it's funny because the fandom, especially the fandom Menace or whatever you want to call it, I feel like we've all been kind of like a family, especially during the past year with the lockdowns and everything. We've gotten to know each other a lot better because we've been streaming so much, because really what else has there been to do? But at the same time, every family comes with a lot of drama, right? Like there's no family that doesn't have drama and resentment and you go to a family Thanksgiving, like what's that all about, right? There's always some sort of fight.
I have a very close family, but this last year I got strains inside of my family because I was very against the lockdowns and the masks and all this stuff, and my sister was very much, she's an academic, she's a professor, and so there's very much a culture in the amongst the academia that's very different from. And so we didn't see eye to eye, and we were upset with each other for a while, but we got past it. We're normal.
Yeah. And us also, again, 200 watts to you. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Says Kamran, thank you. Thank you for the adult talk. You're welcome. We are, I feel like the show's already started off really interesting
stuff. But, I wanted to address something that you said, John, which is, I think, a bigger issue. Again, it's not about religion, a bigger issue, how we interact with each other, especially on Twitter, is that we can have an adult conversation on philosophy, on politics, and religion, but both people have to be willing participants of the conversation, right? So you're showing up and saying, here's my aggressive view on your opinion, right?
Right.
The other person doesn't have to engage that view and doesn't have, I mean, that's not an adult conversation. That's me trying to insert myself and trying to get a response.
Yeah. I mean, a much more tactful way to go about it would be like, like, hey, Kamran, what do you think about, this verse in the Quran, rather than just,
I've
saying like
those kinds of things because, all my life, people are like, well, doesn't the Quran say this? I'm like, yeah, let me explain why you didn't understand what that is. But even then, it's another Twitter tweet that I made is like, this ain't something I'm interested in conversing about.
Sure.
Right. John, I would never ask you defend.
Right. It's like,
this is your thing.
You might not have the time to even get into it. It's like you just want to post something. You're just like, hey, I found this helpful for me. I like this. I just want to share it with everybody.
I want to debate religion with you guys. Come on in, man. But no, I ain't saying that. And I actually posted. I was like, a new follower came up and said, a new guy just started following me 2 or 3 days ago and said, well, do you consider it insulting to your Muhammad if I don't like this and this? I said, no, it's cool. You don't have to like that. But why are you engaging me with this? I'm not asking for it. I'm not asking for this conversation, right?
Right, exactly.
And so it's something that you want to get a response from. That's not something I'm interested in engaging because I wouldn't engage anyone else with this. I don't go up to Jews and, I've got strong opinions on Israel and Palestine, but I never go up to Jews and say, you don't have any valid emotional claim or spiritual claim to living in that area. Why would I do that?
How do you think that's going to go?
Do you have a death wish? Like,
in Hollywood, you can't say that because everyone's liberal except on that issue. Everyone's like right of Netanyahu on that issue, right? But I'm saying, why? I don't, people say to me, well, God gave me this. I was like, yeah, I accept that you believe that. So I'm not going to argue with you about it.
Right. That's the thing where it's like, you know where they're coming from on it and stuff. And that's the thing. It's like when you already know where somebody's coming from, it's like respect that. And
I mean, if it's sincere, like I've heard these things about your thing and I'd like to engage you and ask you, do you guys really believe it? I can answer that. But it's like, hey man, what about this? That's a different vibe.
No, exactly. And that tone or the intent behind it, it can mean everything. Yeah.
It's all, and I've engaged people. People said, man, look, I really like you, but I'm surprised. Like I said, I think we talked about this over, like, Kamran, you post pictures of beautiful women. I'm surprised that a guy who claims to be a religious Muslim has all these hot girls who are not in hijab, who are not wearing a veil on his like thing. And then I engage it because that's like, okay, well, why would you do that? And I was like, well, maybe because as a Sufi, I don't have the same sort of conservative approach to a lot of things, right? And then, wow, that's an exchange of information. It wasn't like, well, Kamran, that's an example of why you're a complete hypocrite. Oh,
right. Right. It's like somebody comes at you like that. It's like, and plus, too, I mean, there's only so much time in the day. How many people do you want to even try to engage and get into? Yeah.
They're upset I blocked them. I'm like, I don't know your name, man. I at least put my name out there. And I don't. And they're like, oh, you blocked me. I was like, well, who are you?
Right.
The screen name. You got some weird avatar. I don't know. But you're not even connected to me as a human being.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of those Twitter weirdos too, like, and I'm not naming names here, but a lot of them have those anime avatars and like random names, and you're like, first of all, as an anime lover, I resent this whole weird anime situation because. Yeah, I love. Why are they all so weird? I don't get it.
And to answer Adega Outlaw here, if you want to read that,
go ahead, read it. Go ahead. It's all you.
Always a great show, Nina, and this doc, I guess, doctor has got your back with the mask and health tweets, Kamran. Thank you. I mean, a lot of doctors have privately told me, yeah, man, I'm on board, but my hospital, I'm going to get fired if I start talking about what I know is wrong. And so that's a deeper issue of where our culture is.
Oh, and we're actually gonna get into that a little bit tonight too, because Fauci said some really interesting stuff, and I really want to get your perspective on. We got, Bill Gates news. There's so much stuff going on. Adega, thank you so much for that $4.99. And Adega and I also do a show together on Mondays. We talk about dark matter on PJ Orville Nation's channel. So everybody check out Adega Outlaw. He's awesome, and PJ is awesome. So everybody subscribe to them, and I hang out with them every Monday. We have a great show. Let's backtrack a little bit though, because we were talking about. JJ
Abrams and this Warner thing, which is really, it is shaking the town to the core. Nobody saw it coming, right?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But then this was going around today with Matt Reeves, JJ Abrams, and Bruce Timm creating new animated Batman series that will be a reimagining of the Batman mythology. And it reads DC Comics and HBOMAX are creating a brand new Batman animated series titled Batman Cape Crusader that is being executively produced by Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves. In a press release, Warner Media details the series will be a reimagining of the Batman mythology. The press release goes on to state that they will once again reinvent Batman and his iconic rogue gallery with a sophisticated storytelling, nuanced characters, and intense action sequences, all set in a visually striking world. Warner Media is hoping to capture the magic of Batman, the animated series, but with the modern technology. The press release explains that the series will utilize state-of-the-art animation techniques and technologies available.
Like we did on Tron.
Okay. The series was announced by Warner Bros. Global Kids, Young Adults, and Classic President Tom, and Warner Bros. Animation and Cartoon Network Studios President Sam Register. So anyways, but I mean, all of this said, I'm just seeing this. This is all that's just pops out into like just out of the screen like immediately. I'm like, J.J. Abrams, the dude that just kills everything he touches. Like, why do they keep giving him projects?
He doesn't kill the first episode. He's very good at creating an exciting beginning. He's very good.
True.
At that, right? And that's what it is. The problem is that he doesn't, as we said, doesn't create the foundation for anything. But Matt Reeves is a very good filmmaker. And
that's true.
It's all about, remember, when you have three people mentioned, and notice the JJ is not the first name, it's Reeves. That's Reeves. In Hollywood talk, the first person is the one that they're promoting. And so JJ, JJ is the name that got the project sold more. I mean, he's got more power than Matt Reeves, although Matt Reeves has influence, right? But JJ's got the name, the attached name, and then Matt Reeves is going to be the guiding force. And I don't really know Bruce Timm, so I can't comment, but he's probably the guy who's going to do a lot of the day-to-day writing. But, again, we'll have to see what Matt Reeves is like, Batman kind of thing plays out. We haven't seen it yet, right? So, but I think that's where the power is.
Do you have any thoughts on this, John?
This could be if they can even get it somewhere near where that animated series was in the 90s, and kind of put maybe a little bit of a new spin on it. But I like some people might find an issue with the ears, but
with this
but if you look at the old comics, Batman had those, like he had, well, if I remember correctly, I know there's like a cover that's very similar. It seems like it's almost paying homage to that. Maybe I'm wrong, but those big ears. So this could be really interesting.
I honestly don't even mind the art in this one as much as I mind. Well, if this is what the concept art is, anyways, because the other news that dropped was that at the same time that this is happening, they're also creating a new Batman. And now this one I do have a problem with, because this is complete like SJW art that I am not down with at all. Let me just quickly bring that up here. Okay, here we go. Share the screen. And this one right here, this I do have a problem with, because, well, first of all, you got the race swap, or the race swap here, which I don't really care. But
Robin, is that Robin?
No, that's supposed to be Jimmy. Jimmy Olsen.
Oh no, this is a Superman thing.
This is the Superman thing. So this is the new Superman that at the same time was announced.
Well, they already race swapped Jimmy in the Supergirl show, right? I think they did that in season 1.
I think so too. Yeah. So I don't really I don't care. Even though a lot of people are angry about it, because this is another redhead that is being race swapped again. The red, the ginger side or whatever is definitely continuing. But then we have Lois Lane, and Lois Lane is just this blah, like there's no feminine features. This
she looks like she could be at an SJW protest. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. And actually, if you look, and part of it works with Kent. I mean, Kent is supposed to be sort of this like hunched over weak guy. But this is interesting. Okay, this is kind of cool. So is this from the same thing or something else?
No, this is
the
the
original.
animated. This is
the animated one.
The original.
So that's what. Yeah, I agree. That's more. But again, we haven't seen what they're doing with Superman. The sort of that Clark Kent being. I'm assuming that's Clark in the front, right? I mean,
yes, this is supposed to be Clark.
Okay, because Clark is supposed to be pretending to be a weak guy, right? And he's but I definitely get what they're trying to do with this with the other two characters, because they think that's where the audience is. All right, let me share a story that might help. I'm developing a project right now, which God willing, I'm about to pitch in a few weeks. Lord willing, as Joe.
God willing, yeah.
Lord willing, but we're about to. And as we were preparing the pitch, the producer on this, one of the characters I intentionally made sort of as a very as sort of it's like the villain of the piece, right? It's a really sort of a woke SJW type. And in the pitch, I actually delineated that, and sort of mocked those characteristics. And the producer was like, let's hold off on saying some of that in the pitch, right? Because these executives are catering to what they think is the young crowd, and that crowd actually thinks that's not the villain, right? Those characteristics. So let's get the show on the air, and then you can write it, but let's not screw up the pitch by agitating their politics right now.
I mean, that's an interesting point of view. I'm just coming at it from an artistic point of view, and I'm just sick and tired of this SJW art where they're like just completely like I use the word dudifying because they're just getting rid of any sort of feminine traits within any female characters, and it's like as if being a female is bad.
Yeah, it's seen as insulting to women or degrading and disempowering because and the SJW mantra is that the feminine is weak. And
yes,
it should be the feminine is weak, and that's why men should be feminine. And because the masculine is strong, women should be masculine. And that's
look at this image. I mean, not what's kind of represented here. Look, he's blushing. He's kind of like bent down.
It's a weak pose, right? Like he's hunched down.
Clark is supposed to pretend to be weak. That's my only defense of that.
Yes, but no.
Nina's like, but not that weak.
Yeah, not like he's not supposed to be a pussy. Like he's supposed to be like, he's a nerdy, geeky guy.
Yeah, and if Christopher Reeve played him hunched over. He played him hunched over, right? And but he was what we would call autistic today, right? That's the role he was playing. But look, I get the critique. I get the critique. For me, the other two characters are more problematic, but I get it.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. My most of my problem was with Lois here because I really don't care about the race swap or whatever you want to call it.
The fun thing of Lois, and if you guys ever gone back and seen copies of Superman 1,
I have not, but I'm sure John has it on his wall somewhere.
Yeah, but I've got like reprints of Superman 1 and of the original Superman, and Lois is a kick-ass, what we would call a feminist in that early edition, and Clark is impressed with that.
1939.
1939, and I've got a reprint of that, and it's a good comic, and Clark is impressed with Lois, who is 1939, is a kick-ass, in-your-face woman, and he says that in the original comic is like, wow, good for you, Lois, like that she's standing up for herself, but she's also long-haired and feminine and curvy and all of that.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, because that's what I want Lois Lane to be. I want her to be curvy. I want her to be feminine because that's what she is, but she's also badass and she basically gets shit done. I don't understand why they can't represent that in new art and new. Well, I mean, I do understand that.
It's for the reason we talk about that right now, the energies of the masculine and the feminine are reversed politically, at least in Hollywood.
They are. It's true. And Gek 812 here says for $5, thank you so much. Comes from forgetting how to be respectful. SJWs within different industries and fields started the the shit. Now SJWs types started poop within the fandom Menace. What's the commonality?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's weird is that one of the things that there's an old saying, actually it's from it was from a movie called 8mm with Nicolas Cage. I
remember
really
that.
like that movie. It says, if you dance with the devil don't change. The devil changes you.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna, just basically shit talk SJWs all day, every day, and just hate on everything and just hate on everything that's going on, at some point it's gonna start reflecting inwards. Like it's gonna eat you inside if you
Which
really
is what's
think about
happening
it like this.
in the fandom Menace right now. It's
Yeah.
the anger that we're so used to being angry all the time. Like my friend, Doomcock is always saying, "Stay angry." There's actually a consequence to that, which we're now seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Any further thoughts on that before we move on to Batgirl?
What's the other saying too? If you look into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back at you or something like that. But yeah, there is like a truth to that. Like if you're constantly, if you are constantly focused on, like calling out, because that's one of the things that could be like pharisaical, or, you could be critical about stuff, right? And I think there is a place for that. I'm not saying, obviously, it's like I built a YouTube channel on that, so I'm not saying that there's not. But it's like I certainly could not. I can't live my life day to day like that, though. It's like, in terms of my real life, like that would just like it would cripple and crush me to just constantly just see the negative in everything. And that's where I think it's
a direct reflection, John, because the SJW culture is a culture of criticism. It's the whole sort of the woke philosophy is about what we call subversion, and it's about everything. We have to find what's wrong with everything, and those of us that are offended by that, the danger is we can then constantly find what's wrong with everything on the other side, right? And so that's a danger, and I'm beginning to see that danger now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that is a great point. But speaking of superheroes, other superheroes, you brought this to my attention today, and I gotta say, I'm looking forward to this. This sounds good. This sounds like good stuff happening with Batgirl. I don't know why. Go away. What is okay? Hide articles. Here we go.
As long as nothing inappropriate comes up, I'm always scared to go on stream. I'm like, oh, that window doesn't open. Whatever.
I know, especially with John around. He always ends up clicking on really bad things. Batgirl. Okay, can you please announce these names for me?
Yeah,
because I'm going to butcher
Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah. They are two Moroccan-born French filmmakers, and they directed the Bad Boys 3 movie that came out last year just before all the health issues, right? And I loved that movie. I really loved it. And these were sort of unknown directors. They've done some small stuff, and that movie exploded them. And now they're going to do Batgirl. They're replacing Mr. Whedon on Batgirl. And so I have some information on them. I'll let you.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what the article says. Bad Boys for Life directing duo have been tapped to direct Warner Bros. The DC Entertainment Batgirl movie. The film follows Barbara Gordon, the daughter of Gotham City Police Commissioner James Gordon. Christina Hudson penned the script for what is being planned as a movie. I'm not familiar with her.
I think Bumblebee. I'm going to go check that. But she's actually a good writer. Some people have accused her, standard Hollywood. Oh, she's a SJW. Bumblebee's a good movie.
Bumblebee, is that the one?
Transformer spinoff.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I liked it a lot. It's really
good. I heard it was good.
I actually heard really good things about it in terms of like Transformer movies, because apparently like all of them have been really terrible now. But I heard that the Bumblebee
the first one was really good, and then and yeah,
and then the rest were well.
Meaning, like after Shyla left, basically, has just been kind of like downhill.
She wrote Bumblebee, which is a really good movie. She also wrote Birds of Prey, but the issue is, I think Birds of Prey was more. The critique is on how it was directed and marketed. I don't think the script is really the problem. But, I think the issue is sort of how it was directed. But she's a very, very talented writer. Some people got really upset with her because she wrote Birds of Prey. But if you haven't seen Bumblebee, it's a good movie. It really captures.
I'm gonna have to watch that, Kamran, because first of all, I like Bumblebee. I think he's cute.
Yeah.
And second of all, I like popcorn flicks that are good. And my standards have come way down. As long as it's not woke, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, people said, "Oh, it must have been woke because it had Haley Steinfeld playing the girl with a." No, it's just about a teenager with their car, which was what the first movie was about.
Yeah, I like that. That
That's
sounds like a
it's
brainless, mindless entertainment that I'm
but I
definitely
don't
down
think
for.
it's more than mindless. It's actually very heartfelt.
Aw.
It's better than the Bay movies, and it's a very heartfelt movie. It's really, and she's a good writer. So on that, people should not be afraid. But now, you know, as we've seen, a good director produces her work well. Less experienced director produces Birds of Prey, right? Creates Birds of Prey. These two, and this is where I'm going to insert myself, unless John, you wanted to say anything about this.
No, please do.
So by interesting synchronicity, they're filming a project in Europe right now, these two, right? I have a friend of mine, one of my closest friends is an actor, and he's been cast in that movie, and he's been calling me from Belgium where they're filming right now, right? And telling me this is the best project he's ever worked on. He said these people that these are hyper professional, serious, mature guys, and they know how to they know how to treat their crew. They know how to treat the actors. That already shows good moral character, which is not common in Hollywood anymore. Certainly not amongst directors. So they have got good moral character. And then he said, you know, these are the kind they're making movies from the heart, which you felt. Bad Boys. I mean, it's Bad Boys, right? And it's a good movie. It was as good or better than the originals. And these guys did it. And so I'm really excited for Batgirl.
I like the original better, but it was still fun. It was a fun movie.
A fun movie, and it's heartfelt, and again, and it's entertaining. And there was no SJW stuff. They didn't have a problem, with hot, chicks in bikinis, and because that's what those things were.
That's why I liked it, because it wasn't super woke, and I like that. I was like, okay.
And see, you got these two Moroccan Muslim directors who have no problem with hot chicks in bikinis, and nobody's asking them about that.
Well, there you go. There you go. Actually,
always asking these dudes.
That's exciting because I mean, I want Batgirl to look hot. Like I want her to look amazing, and hopefully they're not gonna.
Yeah, I get from what my friend told me. These are people, aside from being good moral character, which is rare, they're really confident directors. They're very young, and they already hit it out of the ballpark with, for young, no one heard of before directors. Bad Boys 3 was a hit just before, and it was like the last hit before the health issues, right?
Yeah.
So it's they feel like they know what they're doing, and that's just coming directly from a friend who's filming with them right now.
Yeah, I mean, and they're taking over for Joss Whedon, which we all know
who has not morally been the best director.
Yeah,
stuff came out about him.
He's a very talented guy, but it is what it is, right?
I mean,
he's old school Hollywood, and just it all came out.
Yeah, a little too old school Hollywood. Like,
can I share with you an old school Hollywood story? I will not reveal the name of the director, but he's made a lot of movies that you've seen, right? And one of my friends is a producer, knows him well, and he said he's a very old school kind of Me Too guy. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like classic 1940s Me Too guy. So what he does is this. He just like a lot of these guys, still the casting couch is going on. Baby, you want the role, you got to sleep with me. But he doesn't present it that way. He's like, oh, baby, you want the role, you sleep with me. But then, unlike most of Hollywood guys, he actually gives them the role, right? He actually gives them the role. And then what he does is every script, he has an extra scene with the hot girl that's put in there for his like casting couch choice. And then whenever he films it, they get the credit on IMDb, and then he always cuts it out in the editing room because it doesn't belong in the movie. It's there for his like Me Too agenda, whatever. And so,
oh my god,
it's like he films it, and they're like, oh my god, he put me in the movie, he really did it, right? So they can't complain about it, right? And then of course the scene doesn't belong in the movie, and he just cuts it out.
Oh my god, that's what I mean. I heard that Weinstein used to do that too, and like would apparently like make nude scenes with like famous actresses, and then he would just do it for himself, and then he would cut it out.
Yeah. There's you see, Weinstein was, but he was what he was. The difference is that we all knew about it for 20 years. I've been there 20 years. I know
open secret.
Well, I wasn't even a secret. Everyone, it's a joke of the town. It's like, oh, you got a thing with Harvey. I guess you got to go to the Brazilian wax now if you want to go meet Harvey, right? And so, got to get ready.
Oh my god!
And I will say this: he is not the worst of them. He's the one that they used as the fall guy.
Wow.
I
And
believe that.
I believe that
There's a
too.
lot worse
I do
stuff
believe
than
that.
him because he was the easy target. He's the one everyone knew about. And so when that stuff started, get the spotlight on him, bring him down, and make sure the spotlight don't go looking at those homes in Bel Air.
Gypsy Warriors asking us for $4.99. Thank you so much. I was just curious what you guys general thoughts are on the Snyderverse, and if you feel like there's any chance it will be continued. Keep being awesome. Thank you so much, Gypsy Warrior.
I'm hearing rumor. I mean, it's all in flux right now because this whole Discovery Warner's thing just happened 2 days ago. So there's some rumors that I'm hearing that the Snyder's stuff is going to be resurrected because all of the Snyder stuff, both the Snyder Cut and getting Snyder off, was all just this recent version, this 18-month-old, Warner Media. I mean, I even gotten used to calling it Warner Media, and it's not that anymore, right? I hadn't even gotten used to calling it that, right? And so in this 18 months, all kinds of, and most of that time that AT&T was there was all this health crap, right? So they didn't really ever have a chance to, whatever their plan was, I don't think was ever implemented. And that's when they pull the plug and make some money and get out of here, right? And so it's possible. It's absolutely possible because nobody has any idea. Discovery, I'm actually do you guys watch like the Discovery shows? Like I subscribe to Discovery Plus.
I used to long time ago, but not recently.
Well, they're mostly reality shows. Like I watch, they're all like Ghost Hunter shows.
It's like nature, right? And documentary stuff, right?
They've got nature shows. They've got like the Bear Grylls type shows, whatever. They got that, but they have a lot of paranormal, like Ghost Hunters and
I used to watch that kind of stuff all the time, and like I used to watch where there was this one that was called like Junk Raiders. I used to watch that, and where these guys would go and get junk, and then they would like build a restaurant out of all the stuff.
Yeah. Shows, whatever. I watch their paranormal shows. I don't subscribe. I unsubscribed to Disney Plus after what they did to Gina Carano, right? I don't think I'm not an HBOMAX, like HBO Plus, whatever, Max Plus, whatever this thing is, Warner's Plus, whatever.
HBOMAX.
Yeah, whatever. I didn't subscribe to that. I wasn't interested. I was like, whatever. I don't need this. But I did subscribe to Discovery Plus because I watched so many. And what they did was they did a sneaky thing. They launched Discovery Plus at the end of last year, and then all the new shows went on Discovery Plus. So all the shows that I was watching mid-season stopped being on television. They just stopped.
Oh, and then they just...
So I had no choice. I'm like, I want to see what happened to my Ghost Hunter show. What's the next season, right? And what's the rest of the season? And so I just subscribed, and I watch Discovery Plus a lot. And what I will say is this. Discovery is very customer-oriented. I mean, they have no problem making junk guys who build this thing, right?
Yeah.
There's an audience for it, right? They have no problem making haunted ghost thing because they know there's an audience for it. I actually think Discovery is going to be very customer focused because that's their brand. Is we don't care if the industry thinks it's cheesy or doing a bunch of like Bigfoot hunter shows. The audience watches this, and we're going to give the audience what it wants.
Yeah. With regards to the Snyderverse, John, do you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it definitely can be one of those things where, who would have thought that the Snyder Cut would even happen? I mean, for the longest time, I mean, there was even question whether or not it even existed. Sure. And then, it took years for Zack Snyder to reveal that he did have, he had a lot of stuff shot. And then the fact that actually got made, I mean, that was like near miraculous that the Snyder Cut happened. So I would say at this point, I mean, I certainly had doubts that we were ever going to get a Snyder Cut. I questioned whether or not it even existed. I didn't know how far Zach got along with this project. So, I mean, if that happened, I would say it's, time will tell. But I think it's very possible that Warner or the new leadership there might say, you know what, we need to keep this thing going. There's definitely demand for it. And I think there's enough demand for it to definitely exactly, yeah. Because
they're gonna the new company Discovery's gonna look at the numbers. Well, we don't have those numbers. We don't have all those numbers. The new Discovery is these guys are gonna look at, well, how did the Snyder Cut actually do? I
think that they're gonna look at that based on what happens with Pattinson's Batman, because right now, like they have that going on. That's gonna release soon, and I think that at some point that they're gonna basically kind of hold those up and compare and see if they want to move forward with the Snyderverse or not. I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder, to be completely honest with you, Kamran. I know John knows that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love my friend Abu Nas. He's passionate about the Snyderverse. I am not. I liked half of that first Superman movie with Man of Steel, and then I didn't like the second half, and I was like, okay, I don't. And then I hated Batman v Superman, except for Gal Gadot, right? I was like, oh, she's actually good as Wonder Woman, right? And
Sure.
then whatever. Then this Justice League thing was just a mess, and I didn't care about the Snyder Cut version of it, right? And so I'm not a fan of that world.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan either, but I like when people make things for the fans. Like, not people, but like just the studios. When the studios listen to the fans and if the fans want it, like, just don't you want to make money? Give them what they want,
that's
right?
What I think Discovery is going to be about. I mean, there's been a lot of my understanding of what's happened with all the politics of the Snyder Cut is that the movie studio, Warner's the movie studio, didn't want to put it out because it embarrasses their executives who had been mismanaging the entire Snyderverse from beginning to end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't. But this was a decision coming from AT&T, as I understand it, right?
Yeah.
And then Ann Cernoff, who was essentially running the studio, right, had come out and said, "We're not doing this anymore. We finished it. We gave you what you wanted." And then I don't know if she's going to be around. I think
and then she insulted the fans too. She insulted the fans, and I mean, but so did Zach. Like, Zach insulted the fans too, and which is really unfair. And it's just Zach.
Zach. I mean, I watched that and I was just like, the whole thing was so idiotic. I mean, I could tell he had been given a PR script from the studio to even come on to that cast, that charity cast, right? And let's just say the gentleman is not the best communicator. I mean,
but even after that, he recently there was like an article going around. There was another article going around that he had basically called the fans toxic and stuff like that. And these are people who got you your movie, man. They might be a little toxic because they're a little too passionate.
Yeah,
they're a little fundamental in their ideas, but they got you your movie.
Like I said, I'm not a fan of his vision of DC Comics, right? I think he's a talented director. I like the 300, right? Even though I think you're Iranian, it did have.
I didn't watch it, Kamran. I couldn't do it.
It has a very anti-Persian message. It's not just fun 300. It's an analogy for today. And he's very openly an Ayn Randian sort of politics guy, and he's very conservative on the Middle East. And so I don't share a lot of that with him and whatever. But I personally don't. Who knows what the hell pressures he's under right now? I mean, aside from the tragedies in his personal life with his daughter's death. Who knows? I mean, I know they're driving him crazy. This whole Snyder Cut thing was this huge drama, and the PR people.
I wonder if he wants to do it, to be completely honest with you. Like, one of the things that I was thinking about is, like, they keep saying, will the Snyderverse happen kind of thing. Yeah. And like, let's say even if the studios wanted to do it, I don't know if he would want to do it, because he's just.
Yeah, I think this whole thing is a lot of pain and drama, and if I were him, I'd be like, okay, I did it. Yeah, I got other stuff to do. If I were him, that's what I would do.
Yeah, but, I mean, he kind of went and did that anyway, because now he just made that movie with Netflix. Like, he's already moving on, right? Like, he went and did that zombie movie, which I haven't seen. John, I know you don't have Netflix. Kamran, did you see it? Or John, did you pirate it?
I've not seen it.
It's not Dawn of the Dead. Well, he already did Dawn of the Dead.
I forget what it's called, but it's like a new zombie movie.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of his stuff. Yeah. If he's given a good script, like 300 is actually a good script, and he did something good with it visually. I don't think Man of Steel is a great script, and I think Batman vs Superman is a terrible script. When he did Sucker Punch, it's a visually stunning movie, but there's no script, right?
Yeah, there's no script on that one.
Yeah, and so it's all about, he's one of these guys, you give him a good script, he's going to make a good movie, right? And
what are your thoughts on the Pattinson Batman? How do you feel about
I
it?
don't know, we haven't seen it. We've only seen all these little clips. I mean, the visual images of what I've seen of the Batmobile and that looks cool, man.
It
But,
does.
we're all hearing the dramas of what's going on set, which I think are probably true.
You do? You think it's true?
I think it's probably true. But
I don't know, man.
I'm used to actors being actors, man. I'm used to it. I've worked with
No way. You think Pattinson banged Zoe and on like the Batmobile? Like you think that actually happened?
Yeah, actors do that. I've been on shows where much worse stuff than that has happened.
Oh my god!
I mean, I won't reveal this. I will only say I won't show you which show it was.
Everybody's ears perked up right there.
I'm going to give you a story without revealing which show it was, right? So,
oh my gosh.
So on one show I worked on, I was going to set, and the showrunner said to me, when you get there, the lead actress is going to hit on you. I'm like, what? Like, she tries to seduce all the writers in order to control them and get better writing for her script. I was like, you're not going to bang her? I was like, no, if you bang her, I'm going to fire you. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to, don't bang her, right? So I was like, all right, fine. I was like, he's like, yeah, you'll be presided. So I show up on set, and she comes up to me with like a box of cookies and shit. I'm like, oh, fuck. And she's like,
my
we
god.
want to meet in my trailer. We can start working on the scene together. I was like, oh, shit, right? I was like, this is really happening? I mean, this is an actress I had a crush on, and I just joined, and I was like, oh, okay. And then the boss is like, if you bang her, I will fire you so fast, right?
you're like, I don't care.
And then I was there on set, and the crew was like, oh yeah, she banged that grip and broke up his marriage and whatever. And I was like, I mean, you think banging somebody on the Batmobile? I've been on a set where I've heard 10 stories worse than that.
Yeah, but he's married. And so is she.
And Conrad's like looking at you like, is that supposed to matter in Hollywood?
That doesn't matter.
Everyone in
people have no morals.
Yeah.
Married, flexible in Hollywood, okay?
Oh my God.
Married adjacent. That's all it is.
Oh my God. That's crazy. So you think he actually knocked her up? That's insane. Well, you heard it here first, folks.
I don't know him. I mean, but I when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that sounds about normal.
Sounds like it would. Yeah, it sounds like it might be true.
I mean, that's
created out of thin air.
Well, that was
that high
that
up.
was Fatal J too. Fatal was like, yeah, like it totally happened, man. And like I was just like, dude, there's no way that happened. And then here you are being like, oh yeah, it probably happened. I'm like, oh,
I don't. You get some good, I mean, you get attractive people together like that. I'm sure sparks are gonna fly.
All a little crazy. All of us artists are a little crazy, and they're good looking, and so they're all on drugs. They're all kind of horny all the time.
Sex, drugs, and rock and
how
roll.
it is. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my God.
you really, I'd love to bring you to set on one of my shows. I will be a little bit of like, we got to actually clean this stuff up, right? But on the shows that I've worked on, it's laissez-faire.
Wow. You know what? That's interesting though, Kamran, what you say, because like you're saying like that this lady, like in your story, this lady would do this, right? But now fast forward to now, like
she's still
isn't
doing
that kind of
now, and I'm hearing the stories to my friends.
like what happens though with
oh yeah, don't worry, I already that happened to me. This is how you handle it.
But isn't it kind of like see, that's the thing that makes me upset, because this is the kind of Me Too shit that you hear, and then like the girl goes and like Me Too's a dude, and then she's like oh he did this to me, he did that to me, but it's like, okay, you're the one that brought him the cookies, so how is that fair?
In this case, we had our actress had banged a grip and was sending pictures of him in bed with her in bed with the grip. Grip is the electrical guy, right? He was just a good-looking electrical guy, and sending pictures of that to his pregnant wife. And this is.
Oh my God! I hate Hollywood. I don't
hate the Batmobile. Oh, you think that's shocking?
I'm so innocent, Kamran. Mad Levy.
You said on some of these things. You wouldn't be able to last
for $5. Thank you so much. How do you feel about JJ's DC deal? Do you think that will keep moving ahead under Discovery? It seems like it is. I mean, he got the animated deal like right now. So I think yes.
First of all, because like I said, he's in the club and he's consistently hits like a double or a triple with his thing, and then just lets the team go, see you later, suckers. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, he's so like that. He was like that with Lost. He was like that with Fringe. Like he's always done that. Mind you,
that's why the rise of Skywalker was so painful for him to actually come back. Mm-hmm. That's not his skill, to try to fix something.
Yeah.
And now this would made it worse. he got double whammied. He didn't leave the next guy anything, and the next guy made sure nobody had anything. The next guy screwed him even more than he screwed the next guy.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Matt, for that super chat. Thank you. And everybody here, everyone.
There's like a cop. Could you imagine him having to deal with he creates all these mystery boxes, has no answer for them, takes off. Ryan Johnson comes in, oh, screw the mystery boxes for the whole movie.
Wasn't there another guy though that got screwed over? What was the other guy's name?
What other guy we talking about?
In the middle of
Colin Trevorrow.
Yes,
yeah.
And have you guys read Trevorrow's script?
No,
I've heard about it, and I've heard.
I know somebody can get it to you. Because I've read Trevorrow's script. It was given to me somebody who works with Trevorrow, a friend of mine, right? And he gave it to me, and I read it, and it's incredible. It's the episode 9 that should have been made. And what's shocking is that it just says, okay, Last Jedi is what I got, and he makes it work.
I would like that script.
Blows me away.
That's crazy.
The first page you're reading, you're like, oh, this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. And the great thing is, you know who's the greatest character in that script? Rose Tico.
Wow.
She's so well written and so compelling that I'm like reading this stuff, and it's a great script. You're like, oh, let's go back to Rose. What's going on with Rose? Oh, Chewbacca. Let's go back to Rose. That's how brilliant a filmmaker is. He took that garbage and he created a new direction that worked.
Well, wow. I heard Robert Meyer Burnett talking about it too, and he really enjoyed it. And I don't know, from everybody talking about it, it's like that's the episode 9 we should have gotten. Or
like you want to release the best option. I want to release the Trevorrow cut, man. That's because it literally was like, just forget episode 9, just film this, and it would have united the fan base, because whoever it is that supported the Rian Johnson vision, he doesn't contradict it. He says, okay, all right, whatever it is.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the thing that's why one of the things why JJ's movie is so terrible. The other thing is that it's just so, I don't know. I mean, there's so many problems with it, but that's one of the things is like he totally tries to undo everything that Ryan did. Yeah, and as much as I hated, as much as I hated The Last Jedi, I'm like, you have to work with it. Like you can't. I get it. You know, you're trying to like throw bones of the fans, but that hated the movie. But I'm like, this movie, like, you're still in charge of finishing it here, making it a cohesive trilogy, and you're totally not doing any of that. And it totally takes you out of the film.
No, this is like, all right. And Trevorrow's like, oh man, this movie sucks. What do I do? All right, fine. All right, you put me in this movie. I'm going to go with it. And he made it work.
I never saw The Rise of Palpatine, so I would like this, so I can get an ending.
Palpatine ain't in that movie. He's not in there. She's not a Palpatine. She's not a Skywalker. You find out her past. It's totally different.
I would like to read this for sure. Definitely.
It's already better. It's already better.
Oh, yeah, this sounds amazing. Actually, release the Trevorrow cut. Can we get this going? Like,
I can find a way to get it to you guys. And if you want to do like a review of it on your channel and talk about it, even though it's like a couple years later, it's the what could have been.
Yeah.
How about
I'm just curious. I might not even, I probably won't even do a review. I could do it on the entertainment channel, but just even read it would be something else.
Yeah, I just want to read it, but at the same time, I would be like, could we like make a fan movie from this or something? I don't know. God.
There's the Knights of Ren are kick ass in it. The Knights of Ren are like these like assassin hunters who are chasing through the movie, and they have an arc. He's like, I got nothing. I got Knights of Ren. I got a word. I don't know anything about them. And he gives them a journey.
Oh my gosh, man. Compared to The Rise of Skywalker, it's like this movie sounds like 10 times better.
I won't reveal this. When you get to near the end of the movie, there's an incredible moment with R2-D2 because he even acknowledges R2-D2 is the only one who's seen the entire journey, right? And then there's an incredible moment where R2 replays for Leia holograms from the whole journey, and he shows her what he knows. And so she sees her parents, she sees all of this stuff, right? And all the movies are brought together, and you realize R2's been the witness of the whole thing, right? And he's been recording the entire journey. I've heard
that rumor was going around before, like a while ago, that R2-D2 and C-3PO, like their memory, like basically the movies were their memory banks or something like that. If they ever did do it,
but R2 remembers everything. And
no, that's true.
Yeah. sees, he was mind wiped, but R2 knew everything the whole time, and he shares it at the end. It's this very powerful thing where Leia sees like the journey of her parents and all of that, right?
Man, oh man, what we missed out. We were robbed.
We did, and John was getting visibly angry as you were describing the situation. He's just like, what the.
They're like, rather than getting, like a piece of silver or maybe perhaps even a piece of gold, it's like, here's this piece of clay, or whatever you want to call the Rise of Sky, or like this generic brick.
He was fired because he wouldn't play along with the Lucasfilm politics or whatever. And the thing is, he gave them what they wanted. Because the draft that I've read is apparently the second or third draft. Where in the first draft, Luke is still alive, right? And he's like, and he tried to convince Ryan to let Luke live, and they're like, no. So he's like, oh crap. All right, well, so Luke is dead, but Luke is a very active Force ghost throughout the movie. And the great thing is, what he does is this: he's basically haunting Ben Solo. He's haunting Kylo, and Kylo can't get rid of him because he's a Force ghost. So he's there, like, basically driving Kylo crazy. And it's really fun. He keeps showing up and like, you should really been doing that. He's like, he can't get rid of this fucking Force ghost.
That's so really cool.
Fun stuff.
Oh, man. That's so cool, man. We need this movie. Oh, I'm so mad. The Seaman, thank you so much for $5. Says, how's the AT&T Discovery deal going to impact Disney? Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question.
That is a really good question. And I think this is going to be a real shake. I mean, the whole town is shaken. They didn't see it coming, right? And remember, this is an arrogant town where they think they're molding the whole world. And now this was pulled. No one knew. The CEO, Warner, didn't know, right? Mm-hmm. And so if he didn't know, Disney didn't know. And this is good now because Discovery, which is a popular customer-oriented network, is coming in. And it's essentially going to be the second biggest player in town, but with a customer focus. Mm-hmm. That if there's anyone in Disney or Lucasfilm that still wants to
not super woke,
someone who just don't want to make money but talk nonsense. Mm-hmm. That's they know this thing is coming for them. This thing
I think you're right, Kamran. Like, I think they're shook because I heard more rumors. Like, there's more ramped up rumors because there's always rumors around, but there's more ramped up rumors about how Disney's trying to acquire Sony. Yeah. So they're really going hard at wanting to get Sony and we all know why, because of Spider-Man. They want Spider-Man. They wanted Spider-Man in the MCU for a long time. And Sony still hasn't sold. So, but we'll see. I think, but I think that this is crazy. I think this might, I don't know. I think Disney shook a little bit.
Eventually, does everything end up under one umbrella at some point in the future?
Well, I mean, there is, in theory, we still have antitrust law. in theory, we still, but I was thinking about that, John. You actually hit something. I was thinking about that. I was like, we're getting to the place where antitrust is going to start getting involved, right? Because now it's coming down to essentially from 6 companies control everything to 3 companies controlling everything. So we're getting pretty close to, I don't know who or what's going to get broken up, but something's going to get broken up. And if the market doesn't break it up, the government's going to come in at some point.
And we have Gypsy Warrior here for $1.99. Thank you so much. Hashtag make the Trevorrow cut. I agree.
Even a fan film would be great. Like a fan film.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, Heir to the Empire that are really good, right? People should be doing that. But
I agree. I mean, especially if the fan movement gets big enough, he might even be behind that. Like maybe even contact him and see if maybe he'll get behind that. I will say this.
I know why that script leaked. And I don't know that Mr. Trevorrow himself leaked it. I got it from someone who is working with him. So it's like in his inner circle. What I did get the impression was his inner circle of people were very angry at how he was being portrayed in the press and all this stuff as being somebody who was hard to work with, who wasn't good at what he did. That's why Kennedy had to let him go. He was a troublemaker. When he threw his heart into this. And he was a classy guy. He never said anything bad about her. I've heard that he's very personally hurt and angry, but he's never going to be a low-class guy and say anything about her. And, he's working with Frank Marshall, her husband, on like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. So he's not going to do anything. But his team was so angry at how he was being insulted publicly that they leaked it in defense of him.
See that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too. Okay. Moving on to the next topic, because I have other stuff I want to talk about other than just entertainment, like some politics. Are you down to talk some politics?
I'm happy to talk about politics. I started off with religion, which is always the most dangerous topic. Politics you can handle. Religion is the hardest one, right?
This happened the other day. Biden jokes around about running over a reporter after being questioned about Israel.
Yeah.
And that was, did you see that, Kamran?
I did see that, but look, I mean, this guy's gaff central, right? I mean, I don't even know if he knows that he's the president or the other guy was a reporter. I don't know if he knows what's going on.
I mean, I thought it was pretty messed up though, because the only thought that really comes across to your mind is like, it had Trump said this.
Yeah. Well, had Trump done any of this stuff? I mean, this week you had what? They made like a deal with the Russians to do this pipeline through Ukraine or whatever, through to Europe, wherever. And it's like if Trump had made a deal with the Russians to make this pipeline, they'd be like, "See, he's a Manchurian candidate." When I actually think we do have a Manchurian candidate in office, an actual literal Manchurian candidate.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if he's a Manchurian candidate. I think he's more like, I don't know. I don't know if he's like that, because I think he's more like been a puppet master in the past. I think he's just lost his.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely doesn't know what's going on. I mean, I think his brain was functioning part of last year, and then it just ended. Right, the synapses just stopped. It's actually kind of sad. I mean, he's like a senile old dude, right? And for all of my critiques of Trump, and I'll trust you, all you Trumpers in the chat, I got lots of critiques of that guy, right? Of all that, he still had his brain functioning, right? You may not have liked every word that was coming out of his mouth, but it was there. This guy ain't there.
Well, at least he was coherent. This is not so much. Okay, here we go.
How's it drive? How does it feel? Would you buy one of these? How does it feel to be behind the wheel, sir?
It feels great. I tell you what. Now, I don't know if everybody has a stopwatch, but I think if we're going 0 to 60 in about 4.3. 4.4?
Right.
4 flat?
Well, never released it, President.
I should be quiet.
Mr. President, how fast were you going?
Okay, I'm just going to step on it. I'll come off at 80 miles an hour. Let's see what it is, okay? You ready?
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you can't. Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. I'm only teasing.
My
Okay, here we go.
God.
Well, that's when you always have to add, "I'm only teasing." It's always, I said what I had to say, but I'm going to cover myself. That's just all of us, right?
Yeah.
That's all of us. When we say, "I'm just joking," it's like, no, you got to say what you want to say.
Oh, he meant it.
Yeah, I mean, we all do that. It's like, "Oh, I'm just joking. Like I'm a little digging, but I'm just joking." Well, that's human nature. Look, yeah.
It's like, no, you meant that.
Yeah, he meant it, and whatever. He's.
Well, I mean, basically, he's like, I don't want to talk about this right now. And I mean,
he don't want to talk about nothing. He don't want to talk about nothing. Look. Like I said, I got my issues with Trump, but you asked him that question, he would give, probably an aggressive and asshole-ish answer that I wouldn't like, but he'd give an answer. This guy got nothing to say about nothing because he doesn't know what's going on.
Well, I think Trump would more likely be like, do you really think it's the best time to ask me this question right now when I'm driving this car? Like, I don't like, he would just be like straight up, like, no, I don't want to answer that shitty question. Next, like, like it wouldn't be.
You're fake news. Move on, right?
Yeah. Get out of here. Like, that's the kind of thing that I think Trump would say versus like, why don't you get in front of the car and find out? It's like, what?
Yeah,
it is. He does say so. But
he's a lot of his stuff going back years is this passive aggressive, pretend to say what he's not saying, whatever. That's kind of his shtick for going back.
That's true. He's very passive aggressive in a lot of stuff that he says. So, I don't know. I did think this was funny though. And of course most of the responses has been similar to like, what I said, which was like, if Trump had said this, they would just lose their mind. They're still losing their mind.
They would have lost his mind. They were lost. I mean, I'm an industry that's obviously very democratic, very pro Biden, right? And literally the moment he was elected, they tuned out. They don't know what's going on. I had dinner with a lot of really nice screenwriter friends. First dinner, we used to have regular dinners, like we hadn't seen each other in a year because people weren't willing to get together, right? But now last night we had our first dinner together, and some of these are really prominent screenwriters, and they're all nice people. We didn't talk politics. A little bit of politics that came up, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was going on. They've tuned out. The moment they got their guy in, they don't know what's happening in the world, and it doesn't affect them, right? They got their gated communities. They literally have no idea what's happening in the Middle East or on the border or anything else. They don't know. They don't want to know.
I think he's been great for John's channel because
you know what's funny? I was kind of thinking about that earlier today. I don't know why, but I was thinking like it would have been so different if Trump got reelected, because I don't know if I would have been, posting videos about Trump every day. I don't know if I would have been able to have the content to even do it. So
I don't think you would have.
All of us need the adversary. Think about it. Mr. Johnson, Ryan Johnson united all of us. He united all of us.
True.
We all met each other because of Ryan Johnson. We're all friends because of him. He literally created a global phenomenon of the fandom Menace, right? And now when he's fizzling out and Miss Kennedy's fizzling out of the picture and whatever, we're all sort of turning on each other.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe we need that unifying adversary, right?
No, it's true.
It's true. We do. And speaking of Trump, though, I did see that he was being now investigated for criminal. Running a criminal empire or whatever.
The dude's Teflon. The dude is Teflon. I mean, he's more Teflon than Reagan. If they were able to bring him down, they would have brought him down much earlier, 4 years ago, right? Look, he's a businessman. He's a very wealthy businessman. I'm sure, regardless if you like his policies, I'm sure he did a lot of shady stuff because people at that level play by their own rules, right? But he's found a way to get himself out of it. I just don't see them being able to successfully get him for anything because they would have gotten him for stuff already, right?
I mean, I completely agree with you. I think they would have already gotten him for stuff, but this was really annoying to me, though, because New York Attorney General is now investigating Trump Organization in a criminal capacity. Now, here's my thing. Don't you guys have a criminal running your government right now? Andrew Cuomo, like the guy came out, basically killed a bunch of old people.
Yeah,
he's Me Too'd like so many women, like at least like 9 or 10 women or something have come forward with allegations. Those are the ones we know about. Yeah. And now, this dude's out of office and they're wanting to investigate him. Like, why? What? Like,
it's because, look, the reality is, it's just like we talked about. You need the adversary. Without him, CNN's ratings are down like 75%, right? I mean, the whole system is collapsing without him. That's why they got to get the attention back. Otherwise,
like,
we need a job.
That's what I felt like with this headline. I feel like they still need him so badly that they're like, let's do anything. Like, even if we know that nothing's going to come of it, please, New York Attorney General, do something so that we can write about it. Because it's other than that, they got nothing
without him. And that's the thing, for those who voted for him and supported him and are disappointed with the way things are playing out, you couldn't have gotten a better gift than this, because pretty much he's looking like this relaxed dude who made the country basically work, even though he said like he was obnoxious, right? And now you're looking at this hellhole that we're all in, right? And you're like, okay, you can say I told you so the whole time now.
100%. And the C-Man says Bill Gates got taken down. And you know what? That's true, because I feel like Bill Gates is definitely in the process of being canceled right now.
All of us, I was saying Bill Gates is a villain. I didn't know Bill Gates was a villain. I didn't know the stuff he was up to until last year when these events happened. And I was like, people started talking about it. I was like, no, that sounds like conspiracy stuff. Then I started looking, I was like, oh no, man, he's really done a lot of bad things. He's done crazy things, right? And he's done bad things that other countries have tried to like arrest him for, right? I didn't know any of that, but it was all still being suppressed. But now you got all this public. And again, why is it? Because the white woman has come out and saying, essentially a Me Too adjacent, right? It's Me Too. His wife is like, well, he was hanging out with a pedophile. She knew that for all those years, right? But now it's like, I can't be with him, right? And now because the white woman is, oh no, it's sexual bad stuff, suddenly he's the villain.
Well, there's definitely that, like the whole Epstein situation, which, by the way, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this, John?
I think I've heard a little bit of it going around. I don't know if you sent me something too about this before, about did that impact their divorce at all?
That's the official claim, she says.
That's the official stuff right now coming out. There's other things coming out, like with his wife basically saying that he has been having like multiple affairs.
He's got like a Japanese. He's like that. He's like that congressman. He's got this like, hot Japanese chick, right? That's was always at his side, right?
And Bill Gates came and acknowledged an affair with an employee, which Microsoft investigated. This was before he was asked to basically resign from Microsoft.
Investigated, whatever. I mean,
investigated and resign.
Do you think a lot of people are breathing a little bit easier now? Like, in terms
quite
of
literally, we're breathing easier now. Right?
Yeah, I know, right?
Literally, because his downfall, and he really is a downfall. Like, this dude ain't coming on TV anymore, telling us to put on masks and do this and that vaccine stuff. They pulled him from the circuit, right? And that's actually helped change the narrative.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. See, I don't trust this shit. I don't know. This stinks.
No, he's done. I mean, he's done though.
Is he? I don't know, because I feel like, okay, here's the thing. Even if he's done, right? Even if he's done, why? Like, who's benefiting? Because there's a reason they're throwing him under the bus now.
Which is the greatest revelation here. For all of our thinking this guy is one of the wealthiest people in the world, he was always a front for something else.
Exactly.
That's what is cleaning him out, right? And that is the sinister question, right? Because this guy was being used as their paper boy, right? And if this dude is being taken down, it's because my instinct is, I could be wrong about all of this. And John, I'd love to hear your perspective. I talk a lot. Forgive me, I talk over you sometimes.
No, you're on. Hey, man, we brought you on the show to talk. We want to hear you talk.
So my instinct is that both him and little paper boy Fauci are started getting nervous, because the thing that I knew about a year ago, and that actually caused a lot of arguments in my family because they didn't want to hear it from me, was that Fauci had been giving money to the Wuhan lab to do this experimental gain of function.
Which he denies categorically.
He didn't deny it a year ago. I knew about it a year ago.
Yeah, me too.
Article a year ago.
Me too.
And so, it was all public. It was on the Wuhan website that they were getting money from this guy, right? Yeah. And then they took it off, right? So this is all he denies because he's just a liar. And you can see on Twitter, there's people that worship him like a saint. So whatever he says, he lies. They go with it, right?
He's true.
All face lying that he didn't do this. I knew about this a year ago. Right. And I knew about it not from like the random, weird news of the world websites. This is from Newsweek. Right. And I didn't know of this kind of research until last April, May. I was like, what? The people are researching how to make these horrific bat viruses easily transmittable to human beings when they normally aren't. That's not a good research. What's the value of that research, right? And I had arguments with family and friends. I was like, this is really bad. And the fact that Obama had made that kind of research illegal in the United States, but they're giving money to this Wuhan lab to do this psychopathic Dr. Mengele stuff, right?
Yeah.
Why would anybody be researching this?
It's like tapping into Pandora's box, right? I mean,
the only reason you would research this is to create a bioweapon. Right. There's no other reason. There's no objective medical reason to experiment with a virus that is not transmissible to humans to make it transmissible unless you want to weaponize it.
And that's what Rand Paul was going off about that in the Senate as well. He basically told him as much, and while he sat there denying that he had any involvement with it, which we all know is bullshit.
He's just an absolute liar. He's bald-faced liar. Yeah.
Bald-faced liar. He's just sitting there, just one lie after another, and it's like, dude, everyone knows you gave money. Everyone knows this. Like, it was mental. I love Rand Paul though for standing up.
I like his dad more, but I'm okay with him.
Yeah, but I love
the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
At least we're getting somebody who's saying stuff, right? And Fauci, he doesn't like Rand Paul very much, and right now, that guy, he's killing it. Honestly,
I mean, that moment, the confronting Rand Paul confronting Fauci is what got this gun off of her head. Because
it's true.
24 hours, there's no more COVID.
And
Within
it's
24 hours, CDC's like, you can take off your mask.
he's been doing it for a while. And so this is exactly what happened. So Dr. Anthony Fauci and the Center of Disease Control and Prevention have been making up the rules as they go, with no regard for the scientific data they claim to respect. Yep. This comes from the Washington Post, guys, okay, or the Washington Examiner. This is not,
it's not Weekly World News stuff.
This is MSM. We have known for months that the COOF jab not only prevents infection, but also significantly reduces transmission of COOF and its variants. This means that fully jabbed adults should not need to follow long-standing restrictions aimed at reducing the virus's spread. Fauci admitted this week that he, just like every other health expert in the country, knew this was true, but continued to push the COOF restrictions for vaccinated adults anyway. I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals, Fauci said.
Which is all he does.
He
contradicts himself every 24 hours.
Flip-flops like every other day.
Just go with it. They go with it. It's like no mask yesterday, mask today. Asymptomatic transmission is not a thing. It is a thing. It's like
now herd immunity is a thing now when it wasn't like,
and then now herd immunity only through vaccines. But it was like, well, what about all the people that are actually immune? Like, it's like he changes every 24 hours. I mean, this guy is such a scumbag. There's nothing. I've never seen anything more weaselly than this guy, right? I mean, in a town of weasels. And what's amazing to me is the cult-like following he's got. I've got a Hollywood friend who's a good friend of mine, and he said this to me. I didn't know what to say, and I was presenting to him this is before any of this happened. I was just presenting to him the other contradictory statements that Fauci had done, and he said this to me. He said, even if Fauci is lying to us, it's for our own good.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Big time producer.
What the hell?
I didn't know what to say to that, but that was his answer. He said he's a saint.
Does he know something that we don't? Like,
no, he doesn't know something. He just couldn't answer all the contradictions I showed, which finally suggests and then when he admitted, I lied, again, I believe his first version when he said masks don't work was the correct one, but he said, no, I lied about that because we needed to I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense because, it's not like now if you're telling people you have to lie about it so we all get those complex, like, medical masks. Why would you lie about people wearing scarves around their nose, right? I mean, that doesn't work. But you're saying you were trying to prevent a run on medical equipment, right? So it didn't make any sense. But he admitted he lied about it. And then I presented that to my friend. He's like, even if he's lying to us, it's for our own good.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe he said this. This guy's a big time producer. I said, okay.
Wow. And a lot of people believe this. A lot of people believe this stuff, especially very educated people, I find too. Most educated people are thinking
most
this
educated
way.
People are like I said, my sister's in academia, and academia I found to be the biggest cult of all. I mean, there literally there's no critical thinking at all. It's just like
blind trust.
Yeah, I don't need to look at that source of information.
It's
actual information. It's not like I didn't make it up. Here's this peer-reviewed report. I don't need to look at it.
See, the interesting part is that we started this conversation about religion. And this I feel like is the new religion. This is the COVID, the mass cult.
It's worse. It's a cult because religions work. Even if you don't believe in another religion, it's worked for millions of people for thousands of years, right?
That's true.
This thing couldn't even work a year.
This is
lives in that year.
This is worse than freaking Scientology, man. This is this is one of the craziest scams that you could possibly have just shut down a whole economies. I mean, not that it doesn't exist. Not that
we can all get past that. We don't have to say it. We all
I have to say it because it's my YouTube channel, Kamran, and they're gonna freaking take me down. So disclaimer: the COOF exists.
People have died from it.
Yeah, people have died from it. Old people die more than young people. This is all in the CDC.
Yeah,
this is all.
The CDC's, again, they might pull you for this, but I'll say this. The CDC's most recent update from like 2 weeks ago is 95% of the 600,000 people that are recorded to have died in the U.S. of COVID, 95% had average
comorbidities.
Average of 4 comorbidities.
Mhm.
That's even before they said it was a year and 6 months ago. They said it was 94% had 2. Now it's 95% had 4. That means
Oh my gosh.
that means you have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and immune system failure, and you died of COVID. You have all 4 of those in your system. That's average. It means some people had 6.
Yeah, I mean, come on. At some point, something is going to knock you. Like, if you got that much going on, it's just a matter of time before something gets you, right? Like the flu. The flu.
Point, I mean, at that point, the common cold's going to take you down.
Right.
I mean, it's just going to take you down. Then nothing's going to take you down. It's as simple as that. If you got 4 comorbidities, I don't know anybody with 4 comorbidities. So what that also tells you is people that were dying of heart disease are thrown into this. People that were dying of lung cancer thrown into this. People that have diabetes thrown into this.
Well,
right?
and most of them were in fact dying from those diseases like cancer and like liver disease and things like that because they couldn't get the care they needed because of the coof. So a lot of people were actually
people were afraid to go. And my mom went to the doctor once this past year. Not taking my mom, she's in her 70s. She didn't want to go to the doctor again because when she went to the doctor, she just went in for a small checkup and he did like 25 different tests on her that she didn't want because that's the only way he could make money, right? Right now, that's the way, because he's got nobody coming to the practice right now. So a few people that come in, well, let's do this exam and that exam. She's like, I don't want to do that exam. He's like, no, we got to do it. And she felt so violated that he made her tweak all these exams she didn't want because she's like, this guy's just trying to build insurance company. And make you go through all these uncomfortable.
It's like a mechanic, like, oh, you got this wrong with your car. Oh, what about the, and why? Because they need the money.
He was a good doctor, but now she won't go to him again. He was a good doctor. I went to him, but that was our family practitioner here in Santa Monica. She says, I don't trust him anymore. He's lost my confidence.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing too, is I'm not even talking about people who chose not to go to the doctor. I'm actually more talking about, like, for example, in Canada, they actually literally shut stuff down.
Yeah.
People
only
started
COVID
dying.
patients can come. Or whatever.
Yeah, only COVID patients can come. They started shutting down dialysis centers. They started shutting down cancer centers, chemo centers.
You did that in the UK too, yeah.
People that you would think like that. These are specific like centers that that you can go to, these places that are completely different, quarantined from other patients. So why would you shut that down? Why would you shut this wing down?
It was sinister.
It was sinister.
This was all they knew. All these millions of people aren't that stupid. They went along with this because they were financially incentivized to do this sinister thing by who knew that it was sinister.
Exactly, just like what happened with Cuomo and what he did with the elderly. It was incredibly sinister. Dude has lives on his hands. It is ridiculous.
Our Gavin Newsom scumbag and all these Whitmer, all these people. I mean, all the ones that were the worst about this, their lockdowns and the rules, are the worst human beings, and they're the ones with the biggest, darkest secrets, right?
It's true.
Cuomo stuff is the whatever Cuomo's been talking about right now. That I promise you is the tip of the iceberg for him and for the rest of those guys. Me too. Yeah. Killing some old people, that's the tip of the iceberg for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Cuomo is like, he's got that family. I mean, with Fredo and everything like that. So we know what they do in those families.
Here's the thing too. You remember with the election and everything going down with the misinformation that they were clamping down on Twitter and all that stuff. Well, now we're just hearing about what we knew. I mean, even you go back to finding out like 94% of these people had previous health conditions. So it's like, was the news reporting that type of stuff, which could have alleviated a lot of people's fears? No. Instead it's like, you want to talk about headlines and misinformation. It was like fear porn.
It was.
And all the information is there. It's like I would show people, like in my family or friends, it's like, this is what it says on the CDC website. I don't need to look at it. If CNN didn't say it, you're obviously misreading the CDC website. It's like, it's there. You can read it. I don't understand it because CNN is contradicting it, so I must not understand it properly, even though it's on their website.
Yeah, so it's like you're showing like this is what it says. It's right here, for crying out loud. But they're like, no, unless I get it from my CNN.
And then you had Ken O'Keefe come out with the whole expose on CNN where the dude basically admitted as much that fear sells, and this is why we've been amping up this entire thing.
I mean, this is tabloid journalism going back to, you know, the early 1900s, right? I mean, there's nothing new. There was tabloid journalism in Thomas Jefferson's day.
That's true.
I mean, you can read his comments about the newspapers of his time, right? This is the nature of it. But you know, one thing I will say, I'm seeing the shift. This thing is unraveling in a way they can't. Today, you know, PolitiFact, that fact checker organization, right? Today, PolitiFact quietly, so they had put out back in September a fact check that when I think it was on Tucker Carlson on a show, he had people coming out and saying, yeah, you know, it looks like this virus may have come from the lab. It doesn't look like a naturally developed bad virus. It looks biologically at least manipulated, if not engineered. And then they put out this huge thing about these are conspiracy theorists, and the consensus of the scientific community is this is a natural virus, and it came out of that right next to the
I know, right next, like right there, right in the territory.
The wet market that's right next to the biological lab. Okay, but it came, and then PolitiFact quietly did a correction that they hoped nobody would notice, but someone noticed it and tweeted it out. Which is and I read the PolitiFact correction, which is PolitiFact is now admitting that, and they even said that we were wrong to have stated unequivocally that it could not have come out of the Wuhan lab, because now they're saying more and more experts are coming and saying it was possible, i.e. likely, i.e. 99%, that's exactly what happened. But now even PolitiFact is trying to, because what it's doing there, even though it didn't publicize it made the change, it was like a little change on one of the articles. You want to say we're updating this, and somebody noticed it. It's because they're trying to cover their tracks for the future, because it's all collapsing. And they're all going to be like, oh, no, I wasn't involved in spreading the lie. What are you talking about?
Fact checkers, and people like to use the fact checking websites as if like they don't have any bias whatsoever. Like, see, it was fact checked. It's like,
I mean, if you look into these guys like Snopes, you find out who these people are. It's like this random weirdo couple that's like has all these shady connections. You're like, you know, just the more you find out about these people, like, why am I listening to this guy?
Yeah.
They act like it has this like perfect. You know, like it just can't. It's infallible. Like this could not possibly be wrong. It's like these are run by human beings.
It's just like the experts thing, right? Like the experts, because every 5 seconds it's like, oh no, the experts are saying this, and it's like, oh, okay, you mean the experts that like basically could get paid to say certain things? That's why they don't
historically been paid.
Historically been paid.
This is not well documented how they're paid. How you have pharmaceuticals companies will pay people to say things. You know?
Exactly. I mean, in every court case known to man, you have both sides bringing in their entire, like,
and they're paid
complete different experts. You know, that think completely different from each other, but have their expert point of view
to justify it. And
exactly,
and it brings us back exactly to what you said at the beginning, which is about religion. In a world which is allegedly post-religion, and getting rid of the post-religions that have worked, that have survived, we are filling it in with this new religion of these experts and these high priests and this ideology that you can't question. And, you know, the dogma keeps shifting, but you have to pretend the dogma didn't shift. The scripture has been changed, but you can't notice it. We are in a new world. This is absolutely post-religion, which makes me want to go back to pre-post-religion. I want to go back.
And they are, Kamran. I feel like this is something that I've seen happening, that most people are getting closer to their God or old God or whatever you want to find.
They're finding spirituality again.
Exactly. And even atheists, a lot of atheists have decided to kind of like teach their kids or the values of the old, what they grew up with, or what the traditional values that they grew up with, because they're seeing that what's going on now is not working. Yeah, it's not working at all. I'm just gonna really quickly read this. Some guy from Maine, thank you so much for the $4.99, says the same way that Trump was for CNN and other MSM channels for 4 years. I feel like Biden has been that for John's. The gift that keeps on giving.
I have a feeling that both of your channels will survive just by whoever's in charge. There's always something to talk about.
No, that's true. That's true. But,
I've got the good news covered now. But yeah, I think Biden has been really good for John's channel.
He ain't wrong. No lies detected.
Bashy Washy, thank you so much for the $9.99. Says, hail all. Damn it, Kamran, stop being a prophet and always right. Love you, brother. Keep speaking the truth. Oh, hi, Nina and John. Well, hello to you. Thank you for being here. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Gypsy Warrior sends another $1.99, said, what would Steve Jobs make of current events? That's a good question.
He would say, well, that piece of shit stole my operating software. He's gonna fuck the whole planet up, and I knew what this piece of shit was, right? That's what he would say.
I think that's pretty close. I think that's what he would say too. What do you think, John?
Yeah, and he would say, Apple's always been better than Microsoft, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, I don't. Actually,
I say current Apple sucks too. I need to come back.
No, for real though. I mean, I do think that there is, like, you take Steve Jobs out of Apple, and there's just something that is missing there from that company. But what he built, it's still enduring, and obviously people still love the product.
People say his personality, this and that. I will take that crazy entrepreneur and take him because he created something. Bill Gates spent his whole career stealing from other people. That's his whole career.
Yeah,
that's true. It is.
Before he tried to ruin the whole planet, right? And tried to block out the sun and other crazy.
They tried to block out the sun. I mean, the dude is literally like Mr. Burns. He's like, let's block out the sun now.
Villain, right?
Right.
That's what this is. I mean, it's like whatever. I mean, it's like. And I was like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. I was like, no, the government of Sweden just banned his efforts to block out the sun, right? So it's like you can go to the government website where they talk about it, whatever. So
it's crazy.
It's so crazy. Like, I don't know. Do you get picked on at school too much, and you just want to take it out on the world? Like, what's this guy's backstory?
He was from a rich family. I think he's just like I said. He's part of the club of scumbags that run Hollywood too, right? It's just multi-generational club of scumbags, and he was part of that. His dad was like a shifty character, like who was involved in all kinds of weird eugenics things and whatever. I mean, these are just bad families that are raising bad kids. And they have a lot of money, and it just gets bigger because they're part of the club. Hollywood.
Yeah, he's probably just a psycho, and now
by a bad family that already had a lot of money, and these guys don't rise to power by accident, right? The deeper you look into where some of these people got their money from, the more dangerous it becomes for you, right? It's like you don't want to be asking how this Harvard dropout suddenly creates this computer company.
I know, right? Freaking Harvard dropout too. That's the other thing.
No one ever talks about where Mao Zedong, this random like Chinese revolutionary, suddenly has millions of guns. Like, where did this guy get all the money for all these guns to do a revolution against the actual, nationalist government of China, right? And nobody ever asked, like, where did Lenin show up out of nowhere on a train that suddenly had all this gold on it, right? That financed the Russian Revolution. Nobody asked the question of who's financing this stuff, because that's the question that'll get you killed.
Yeah, that's the question I had. Basically, I mean, I don't want to ask it now, but because of what you just said, I don't.
All
want
right,
to get
folks,
killed.
have a great night. We'll see you later.
I'll let you all do your own research, not on this YouTube time.
So moving on, Matt Deckard for $1.99. Thank you so much. Academia should watch YouTube to catch up. They should definitely watch Kamran Pasha, because he's definitely been a lot, writing about a lot of stuff.
Hollywood watches me. I'm actually glad, because I've already screwed up my own career. People's heard me saying this stuff in the industry. I'd be in serious trouble. Nobody.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking if Kamran had a YouTube channel, man, people would be tuning in. But at the same time, he'd probably be hurting his career as a screenwriter.
No, John, he would be canceled immediately.
Executives I know have any idea. Like, I've been on all the time, and they wouldn't deign to watch your show, which is such a blessing.
Right.
You would be so canceled by YouTube. Like, I would give it a week, Kamran. You would just be on here, and then they'd be like, nope, you're out. Sorry. Jay Ice for $5. Thank you so much. Says, I knew not to listen to Fauci when he said cruise ships were safe. As elderly people on a floating petri dish, not a good idea. Now, speaking of that, actually, that's a really interesting thing that you brought up. It always comes back to that for me, because the whole coof thing actually did start on a cruise ship. And
they had a lot of data on who was infected and who wasn't infected, all of which paralleled what happened later. So they knew how it was going to play out, and they it's all novel. They had a direct experiment. They had the information, so they knew who was in danger and who wasn't in danger,
and how many people died, and how many people recovered, and like all that data in such a small place was basically the perfect analyses to applied to a grander scale, but they completely
they had all the
refused to.
information. Like I said,
They had it.
So, I mean, Fauci knows. It's not like Fauci is like he doesn't know. He knows what he did. I mean,
No, he knows.
He knows. Whoever is behind him told him, "Here's the script today. Read the script today." He's like, "But it contradicts what I said yesterday." Yeah, read it. Right. And so that's all he is.
That is very true. I'm just looking for the super sticker. Okay, it's a little doggy. It's a little doggy sending hearts.
Always nice, Mr. Trunk. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the $2 super sticker. Thank you. And we got Gek 812 again for $2 saying they're saying that now for pro-vaccine propaganda.
So I'm sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
They're saying that now for pro-vaccine propaganda. I'm not sure. Oh, for the not wearing the mask thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, again, this is their plan was the version of Fauci of 4 weeks ago, which is get vaccinated, wear a mask forever, and then get a booster shot every 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the
6 months, I think.
6 months, whatever. But that was the plan. It was going to accelerate to 3 months, right? So that was the plan. The plan has unraveled, and I think it's finished. I think the genie's out of the bottle, the toothpaste is out of the thing, whatever you want to say.
I don't know if it's finished. I don't know if it's finished because I agree with this one dude here. Let me play you this because I think this guy nailed it with regards to what the plan is and how it's been playing out. To me, this is where I'm at with everything right now. I think that this guy had a couple of really good points here. This is what he had to say.
A lot of people saw it. There was a UN document. This is common knowledge.
Adam Sandler on steroids.
Basically outlined the lockdowns, and they just gave it to each country and allowed each country to tweak it for their own people, to make it more palpable for their people, and to give the impression that it wasn't an international document disseminated to all countries to make it people think that every country made up their own rules. No. The 5 levels of lockdown were in there. In a place like Ireland, they went level 1 to 5. In a place like Canada, where we like colors, now we got green to gray. It's still 5 levels of lockdown. All the 5 levels are identical. They used Australia as the model for the 5th level of lockdown, where you can't leave your house, you can't go can't literally do anything. And that's what they really want to do here. Well, I heard about the mandatory quarantine hotels, and I knew right away it's a complete violation of our rights. And the only reason they're doing it is because they want to convince you to accept the vaccine passport. I want to stress that everything that they're doing, closing your business, closing your gym, forcing you to wear a mask, all the stuff they're doing is to try to convince you that it's a good idea for you to go along with this idea of a vaccine passport so they can vaccinate you multiple times a year, every year, and then use that as an excuse to prevent you from travel, work, congregating, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you think it's a conspiracy theory, they already have it in place in Israel, and they've already made it quite clear that if you don't get vaccinated, you're going to be relegated to small shops and grocery stores, and you're basically shunned from the rest of society. And that's what they want. They want a complete medical tyranny on you. Once you give in to medical tyranny and you do not have bodily autonomy, and they can literally forcibly inject you with whatever they want as a pretense for you to live your life, are you free? Absolutely not. That's the most invasive violation of our rights thus far. And that's why they waited an entire year of demoralizing you and destroying your life and making you as hopeless as possible, so you will not just accept it, you will beg for it. That's what they're doing. They're doing psychological warfare on you to weaken you to the point where you will not only accept defeat, you will accept perpetual defeat for the rest of your life.
And I think that guy nails it. I think that's
the plan was, and I want to suggest that the plan has been unraveled. That was the plan.
So you think it's different now?
I mean, I'm just talking for example here. Look, I'm living in California, right? Which is, especially in Hollywood, which is full cult central when it comes to COVID, right?
Sure.
Whatever the story is, right? And I went and I had dinner last night for the first time in 18 months with a screenwriter group, some really well-known screenwriters. We get together every few months. We used to get together. Now we haven't done it in a year and a half. And we went to a nice restaurant and everyone took out their masks and everyone's normal. And everyone was saying how happy they were to be interacting again. And you could see the relief on their faces of they finally had to stop pretending that they were okay with the isolation and everything else. They are trying to figure out the vaccine passports. The problem is, and every country is going to be different. I think Canada, that's a real possibility. Like I said, Israel's already doing it, right? Some states are doing it. Australia, New Zealand will do it. it's hard to do that in America for two reasons. One is we have things like the HIPAA laws, which protect medical privacy, number one, right? And number two, we have this federal system, which is the founder's greatest gift to us, right? And that's why part of the reason it's all unraveling is Florida, South Dakota, Texas are showing that none of it needs to be done. And
exactly.
now because, and I think it's because Fauci was being unmasked, literally unmasked, they panically, the CDC said, okay, you can take off your mask if you're vaccinated. They can't walk that back now. I'm watching in Santa Monica where I live 2 weeks ago, 99% of people were masked. And I would get nasty stares because I refuse to wear a mask outdoors. I won't do it, right? I will respect businesses that are requiring me to do it when I enter in. I will not wear it in the park. And I got nasty stares. I got racist, bigoted things said to me by people in liberal Santa Monica. And now, 2 weeks later, nobody.
But don't you think that's because of the whole CNN telling them, and if you're vaccinated, you can take it out?
CNN didn't want to do that. If the strategy that gentleman is correctly describing was working, they wouldn't take the masks off because you need the vaccine passport to keep the pressure on. You need the pressure on to get the vaccine passport to make people want it. People yesterday, when we were sitting at dinner, one person said, "So are you vaccinated?" I just smiled. I said, "Would you like to see my prostate exam too? Would you like to answer that?" Right? I said, remember the time? And she's a well-known screenwriter. And I just said it in a funny way, and people at the table laughed. They got the message saying it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. And they dropped it, right? And they dropped it. That's the pivotal thing, right? They dropped it because people realize when you present it to them that it's inappropriate. And now that they are feeling less of the incredible pressure, the masks were the whole thing holding it together. Without it, the vaccine passports are going to collapse. New York can try it. They're going to be sued up the wazoo. California is considering it. Newsom is afraid of being recalled. He won't do it. All right. In my opinion, it is over, not because they want it to be over. It's because they blew their wad when they took the mask mandate off, and it can no longer be bought back. And that takes the vaccine passports out. I just think.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Once you give people a little bit of freedom, they're not gonna want to go back to not having freedom again. So
especially because now,
especially after they realize they're fine,
hey,
we're okay.
I didn't die. I don't have sniffles. No one's dying around me. And that the whole thing was, if you take this off, the world will end.
Yeah, you're gonna kill grandma. Like everyone's gonna die because of you.
And the thing is, and the part of the propaganda of the desperate maskers, right, is, well, these stupid troopers they're gonna just take off their mask without the proof of the vaccine. It's like, yeah, and they did. And guess what? The world hasn't ended.
Yeah, and I love all the stuff that's going around from that past tweets and people just retweeting it and being like, well, this didn't age well, and it's like all the crazy, the crazy people, like that girl with the crazy eyes, John, the one that you made a video about. Yeah. So she's that's going around.
This is when I think, John, you and I can really connect on this. This is where having a religious faith helps, because I was very upset this past year. There were moments I came close to despair, but I didn't despair because I believe there is God guiding history forward. I believe that. And I do not believe the villainous forces can win. And that's why I'm watching it all unravel now. And this was, in my view, a divine plan to reveal the truth of the world. We no longer believe the illusions of the world we lived in a year ago. In the Christian tradition, the word apocalypse, in Greek, it's apocalypsis. It means
unveiling.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that's happened. People's veils are coming off, and their masks are coming off. Their faces have been revealed. I didn't know Bill Gates was a bad guy or he was a crazy James Bond villain. I didn't know, and I'm a dude who reads conspiracy websites, and I didn't know that there was this thing going on. I didn't know it. I now know it. I now know all the stuff I didn't know.
Unfortunately, I knew it. I just
you're smarter than me. But I didn't know about a lot of stuff, and I didn't know, and now I do. And you can't. It's like the bread pill. You can't take it away now.
Well, the only reason I knew it, Kamran, is because my husband's really into computers, and he was all, "This dude can't even keep Microsoft virus free. Right. Who the fuck is this guy?"
But think about it. His whole thing, his whole business strategy was, let's create a computer virus that screws up my computer and then sell people the antivirus.
Exactly. That's him.
So he's doing the same thing in real life. Yeah,
you do it for real viruses if that's your shtick. Why wouldn't you do it?
It's like it worked then.
It'll
I'll
work
just try it in the
now.
real world.
I mean, that's what's worked for him. He's made a whole business model out of, I have a Mac. Thank God I never had a virus. When I had like an IBM whatever, I was always like virus this, virus that, screw this, and my screen's visiting what's happening. I went to that website. Now I can't see anything anymore.
Oh my God. Selena SW, thank you so much, dear, for the $9.99. Says, Nina, congratulations on the 2K plus subscribers. Thank you so much, Selena. The show tonight has been very interesting and entertaining. Well, thank you so much. I'm happy that you're being entertained. That's what we're here to do every Wednesday night.
I think Selena used to follow me on my old Twitter account. So if you can find me again, I don't know if you're following me now, Kamran.
It is in the description. All of Kamran's links and John's is in the description. So you guys want to follow him, and he has books as well, which I put your Amazon author thing in there, so that if you guys want to check out his books, check it out. And
I don't know if you know this. I finished my third book, and it's set in ancient Iran. Did I ever tell you this?
No, you didn't tell me.
Were you writing it last time?
No, I've been writing it for a while, but it's finished. Okay. Manuscript finished. I've given it to my literary agent. But it's interesting because it is the great biblical tale of Iran. It's the story of Esther, right? Which is the Old Testament story, which many people know. In the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, there's a book called the Book of Esther, and it's a story of a time when Jews lived in ancient Persia, ancient Iran, and then a Jewish girl named Hadassah essentially became like alias. She took on a false identity and became like a Persian noblewoman. Is literally like this fake identity she created, and she ended up seducing and marrying the king, the ancient king of Iran.
Isn't that what like the 1001 is based on? The story of
there's legends. The 1001 Nights have their own legends but they obviously have the same culture. But this is a biblical story, and the story was how Esther, she becomes the queen of ancient Persia, and they don't know she's actually Jewish, and she ends up defeating the evil vizier who's got like an anti-Jewish pogrom.
Yeah. My friend told me about this story. I remember this story. This is a crazy story.
Right. And so I wrote a novel. My third manuscript is set in ancient Iran, and it's the telling of this biblical tale. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if a Muslim guy tells a biblical tale and is authentic to it, right? And so and one of the reasons I did is, here is the story of this very important Jewish heroine in Judaism, right? And in Christianity, because it's part of the Old Testament, right? And at the same time, the king she married, because it's not clear who the king was historically in the Bible, but the king I make her marry is King Cyrus.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? Yeah. The civilization. And so King Cyrus and her, so suddenly you've got the great hero of Persian culture, this great hero of Judaism, at a time when there's a lot of bad vibes between Israel and Iran. I thought, here's a way to tell a story to bring these communities together. So
that's really cool.
We'll see if anybody wants to publish it, but that's my next book.
Well, if nobody wants to publish it, you can always go the self-publishing route. And
I'm too snobby to do that. I totally should, but I'm totally a snob. I'm like, I got to publish one. I'm going to do it again. Damn it.
That's so funny. Not that my mom is snobby, but my mom's like that too. Because I'm like, she's always talking to me about, wanting to. She has different works, and actually she is getting published very soon. But when we were talking about her getting published, I was always like, you should go to the self-publishing route. And she was like, I'm going traditional. Like, I need to get published. It's a thing.
And look, self-publishing is an honorable thing. And actually right now it can be very economically beneficial the way Amazon has set up stuff, right? You can make a lot of money going directly to people and not having to because basically, I'm giving an advance by a publisher, and they keep them until they make their advance back. They keep all the money, right?
Yep.
So, but in this, you just write the thing, put it on Amazon, and you're making all the money yourself, right? So it's really good. It's just for me, and this is pure snobbery, but I'm like, look, I got a couple of books published through Simon & Schuster. The benefit of that is that you're able to get the entire marketing machine of the publishing company, right?
Yeah.
And and that actually gets your stuff out there, and so I'm like, I'll hold out for that if I can. I mean, we'll see what happens in the marketplace.
100%. Well, I'm excited to read it. So definitely. I hope
that's pretty cool.
I wish for the best. Tim's Talk, thank you so much for the $5. Says it was depopulation. It was depopulation. The plan. It takes 21 days to form a habit. It's been a year and a half now. As a younger man, it's hard to leave home. And that's, I
agree with you. But, I do, in my heart of hearts, believe the plan didn't work the way they wanted to. They certainly got a lot of damage, and they've hurt a lot of people. right?
Mhm.
But it didn't go exactly the way they wanted to, and I think there's been a major setback, and they're trying to figure it out. But I also think that they're scrambling now, and because now people are realizing, wait, maybe this thing was a virus invented in a lab. Now people are like, well, I want to hold somebody accountable, and that's when it's time to throw people under the bus. Just cover yourself.
He continues to say, essentially living like an inmate. And what happens with them when they are free, they go back because of what was created, not for everyone, but oftentimes.
Seeing that right now,
Um,
people that they don't want to go back to normal. It's
it's
psychological.
and it's true,
It's like-
Tim. That is very true because people do form habits and bad habits, and you know what? And companies have realized certain things too. Like nothing's gonna really go back to being the same way. A lot of companies have realized that they have a lot of excess employees that they don't have to employ because they can work from home, or like
Although that is shifting, I'm going to give you anything because I'm seeing it in Hollywood. Initially, people thought this is going to be permanent. Everyone's going to work from home because everyone is you don't have to pay for the big office building on San Vicente Boulevard and all that stuff, right? But now they're seeing over the course of last year the work quality sucks. I've had people doing writers' rooms like on big TV shows that are on there right now. They spent all last year in doing the Zoom writers' room crap, and the quality of the scripts were bad because you need to be in a group of people. There's an energetic vibe that's created by people in a room together, right? And there's just sitting around laughing and joking over coffee. Ideas come.
Yep.
Of course. I mean, that's what we are. We're social creatures. We need to be around each other. It's not normal. Everything that they were trying to do was to get us to accept this new normal, and the new normal was shit. This is not what normal is in any. It was abnormal. That's exactly what it was.
Anti-human, and because it's anti-human, it is not sustainable. Right? Yes, you will lose people that got the brainwashing in the prison, and there's people who've been physically damaged and health-wise from the events of this last year. But majority of humanity is going to go back to normal, and we'll learn a lesson for at least a generation.
And I think that what you say is true, though. I think that there is something to be said about the USA, right? Because I think US is a different entity than most places because of how your governing body works, because every state is different and governed differently, versus Canada. Canada is completely totalitarian right now, and there's no opposition.
Yeah, it was very easy to do it there, and it's very easy to do it in Britain. It's very easy to do it in Australia and New Zealand. It's very easy to do it in Israel. I've been to Israel a couple of times. I don't want to bring in Middle Eastern politics, but I've seen how they have a structured society where discrimination is very easily applied. So when you could do a thing like, oh, you don't have a vaccine, they have a whole system for you're not of this, you go there, right? So other societies are structured for discrimination in ways we are not.
Well, plus they have to. You don't even have a choice whether or not you want to be in the military in Israel either.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that's you're part of. Yeah, you're just part of it. You're there. You're part of it.
The way you go, and but all these countries, and that's the blessing of the United States. I say this as someone, look, I love this country, and I have seen its faults. I have experienced its dark side personally, and then I've gone to other countries, and they're even worse. They're even worse. There's nothing better than this place, and that's what
I know. It is crazy. It is crazy because that's how I've always felt about the States too. It's that it is really the freest place in the world because of how the governing works there.
The founders, look, the Constitution is magical. It really is. You read it, they had thought out so much. These people were geniuses. They thought out all these things that could go wrong, right? Yeah. And it's structured to keep protecting itself. Some people think the way this election went out was a failure of the Constitution. No, the Constitution allowed certain processes to play out. There were ways to correct them. People chose not to use those corrections. No problem. Now you're going to see the result of that. But the federal system allows, oh, you didn't like the way it played out, you can fix it this way, right? That's the genius of the Constitution. That's why I do believe, as a religious person, that God has a plan for this country with all of its flaws. I believe that. And so I believe God's going to use this country to get the whole planet out of this madness, even though this country was one of the worst bad places for a while.
Hey, from your mouth to God's ears, right? They say. Gek812 says for $2, thank you so much. Kamran, watch the Corbett Report. They were on it ages ago, and that's true. I love the Corbett Report. The Corbett
Report was great. There's a lot of really good things. The Last Vagabond is really good. They've been booted off of Twitter. They're really good. Whitney Webb, who writes for The Last Babylon, if you're on Twitter, she's still there. She is really good. She's been revealed. She's an investigative journalist, a real one, right? And she's been breaking a lot of stories, and so there's a lot of information from sophisticated people that's out there.
Diego Flores for 10, thank you so much, says, so does that mean I'm going against the norm where I have been locked down and still crave to go outside and walk with people, especially to meet girls, or not? No, that means you're normal, man.
And the one thing I'll say, the only thing I'm going to miss about all this lockdown crap in LA is that before this, all the hot girls were dressed like I Dream of Jeannie. They all had like these sexy veils.
I saw your Twitter post.
And that's not even inaccurate. I was walking around. I was like, man, she literally looks like she's coming out of a 1950s like Arabian Nights movie. But I've seen so many sexy abs and belly buttons and no faces.
Oh my God. My mom told me the other day, she was like, I can't understand it. Like, cause she's taken up like bike riding lately. Yeah. And she keeps telling me that she goes out bike riding and she sees people with like 2 masks, but no helmet or like no like knee pads and stuff. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how this works. Like, you're riding a bike, wear a freaking helmet. Like,
and even in a place like Santa Monica, the rule was if you jogged or biked, you didn't have to wear the mask, but people didn't care. They just went away with it. It was like, even the stupid totalitarian government of Santa Monica said, okay, you don't have to wear a mask when you ride a bike, but nobody listened.
It's like, don't you want to breathe fresh air? I don't know. Like, I would think that's good for you.
It's like the mask cultists think fresh air is like a privilege.
It is the mask. It is the mask cultists.
Those are the people are going to get, they're going to get sick more than anybody.
Of course they are. But again, let me get it down to a spiritual level. And I think John's going to connect with this. In our traditions, we have phrases like the Holy Spirit and things like that. There's a thing especially in Islam and Judaism and Christianity of breath. Like anyone who does yoga understands.
Yeah.
All of our religions have the concept of breath being a way to connect with your spirituality, and that angels and spiritual beings take the form of air and breath.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for that because it's archetypal. Breath is life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life. And this whole cult is anti-life because they want to make it holy that you disconnect from breath, which is life itself. And on a metaphysical level, I believe breath also connects you to spiritual energies. And when you block it, you're blocking energy. I really believe that.
That's very interesting. No, that's definitely something to chew on.
The Holy Spirit is air, it's breath, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a passage. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's certainly a passage where Jesus breathes on the disciples, and he says, receive the Holy Spirit, or something like that. So, that's certainly like just one passage.
Is like air. I think the Greek words of the Holy Spirit actually has a reference to air flowing. I think that's the Greek of it.
Yeah, it very well could. But yeah, that's definitely it's almost like, they do want to restrict, they just want to restrict all of that, I suppose.
Yeah. The basis of being human. Without breath, you die.
Right.
You can survive without food for 3 weeks. You survive with water for 3 days. Breath, you're done. You're done in a minute.
Yeah. Well, think about too, getting, even just for your brain activity, don't you want to it's probably not good if you're not getting sufficient amount of oxygen to your brain. You're not going to be thinking.
You need oxygen for your neurons. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I want to address this comment from Aiken because I actually have a response, and I appreciate, especially, presenting a point of view that may sound like it's contradicting some of us. So you want to read that, and then I can respond to it.
Aiken says Japan has a culture that wears masks to protect others. It works.
Okay.
And I'm just going to quickly respond to it too, because I think that there is some cultural stuff with that. I don't think Japan wears masks all the time, though. This is one of the things that, and it's not just in Japan either. It's in China and most Asian cultures.
So I've experienced this. I can talk about Asian mask culture.
Yeah, they've been wearing that kind of stuff, especially when they're sick, for a very, very long time. It's kind of like just good manners to do that. And I think in Asian cultures, but go ahead, please, Kamran, let us know what you think.
I appreciate you saying that. So I'm going to present a different point of view, which is because I've worked in China. And I actually wanted a mask that I was there, not because I was afraid of a virus or anything else. It's because you can't breathe there because it's the most polluted thing I've ever experienced, right?
Oh, okay.
Beijing is the sky was black when I was there. I was there a month and the sky was black. You couldn't see the sky midday, right? Because that's how polluted it was.
Wow.
And I was walking around Beijing. I was like, I can't breathe.
That's what Tehran was like. I've experienced that too.
Because I think it's gotten a little better. But yeah, I mean, definitely.
When I went back when I was 15, it was so bad. And you go from somewhere like Vancouver where it's like very clean air, and like Tehran, and it was like, oh my God.
Karachi was like that for a while too when I visited. I mean, really. So, but not to answer the specific thing here. So I'm going to make a couple of comments, and you can free to say you're wrong and you disagree. We don't have to get into a huge debate about it, but I'm going to respond to it from me, right? Which is on the mask culture. Japan, because I've heard this comment a lot. Japan, definitely people do wear masks. However, if you just do a simple search of the Japanese flu epidemic of 2019, just before this thing, there was a massive flu epidemic throughout Japan in 2019, despite this mask culture. Right? It didn't in any way affect. The flu hit Japan real hard in 2019 and has done so over the past several years, right? So it didn't stop anything. I mean, and allegedly these people were wearing masks before COVID, right? So it didn't stop anything at all. And if you look at, people show images of like Japan where people are wearing masks, but they're all rammed together in the subway, right? With no space, right? There's another thing, and I would urge you to do your own research to confirm if what I'm saying is true. On the claim that masks protect you has been debunked in peer-reviewed study and for years from a virus. Masks can protect you from bacteria, but virus is a much smaller particle, right? And so when it comes to that, there was the Danish mask study, which was the largest randomized control test study in history of masks and their effectiveness against a virus. And that was done last year because of COVID. And that was done throughout Denmark. Thousands of people were involved. And they concluded that there was no statistical difference between someone who wore a mask and didn't wear a mask. The infection rate was exactly the same or off by like 0.01%. It was very similar. Now, okay, but remember the propaganda that Fauci said to us is the mask isn't to protect you, it's to protect others, which is what you're saying there in that comment, right? The problem is this. There has never been a randomized control test study of that claim that masks protect others because it is not something that can be done scientifically. The reason is there are too many variables. It's very easy to set up a thing where you have 1,000 people, 500 of them wear masks and go about their lives, and 500 of them don't. And then you see who's infected, who wasn't at the end of the day. That's very easy. There's one variable, which is wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. If my thing is I'm going out, and other people are wearing masks, and you get infected, did you get infected from the person that wasn't wearing the mask? Did you get infected from that thing that you touched that had the virus? Did you get infected from some other factor? There's no way to know. It's not possible to know how you got infected. So there's no way to know that you got infected because someone wasn't wearing a mask. There's 10,000 other ways you could have gotten that virus because it's floating around. Right? There's no way to trace where you got it from. So there's no way to RCT test that. Since there's no way to RCT test that, it's not science. It's just a story. It's a story that you can believe or choose not to believe, but that's like religion. It's a matter of faith. But the data doesn't support it because there's a Twitter follower, ENMSC, who dedicates his entire account to analyzing mask mandates. That's all he does. And his entire account looks at mask mandates and it shows every single place, United States, Europe, Asia, Australia, anywhere they've done a mask mandate in any city, looks at cities, countries, looks at all of it. Every place there's a mask mandate, right after the mask mandate, infections skyrocket. Right after that. When there aren't mask mandates, infections stay stable or go down. And if you go back to what Fauci said before he started lying to us in his earlier comment on 60 Minutes, right, where he said people shouldn't wear masks because what they're going to do when they wear masks is they get a false sense of security. They start touching their face more. They get icky with it. They sneeze into whatever. They don't clean it. Goopy stuff gets into it. They don't clean it properly. He said that. He said you get schmutz in it. And he said that's going to make you sick. It's, when you're in a medical facility, in a surgery, they're wearing masks, but they have very strict protocols, which is you touch the face, got to replace it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody doing that? Oh, I touch my nose, got to take off my mask, get a new one. Nobody's doing
Same
that.
with gloves too. You're constantly changing, because I've worked in orthodontics office and stuff, and you're constantly putting new gloves on and off. And so it's like, it's totally different. People don't, and even me, I just wear the mask whenever I got to go in the store, but I know darn well, I see people, it's like they're putting it in their pocket. I mean, nobody is really cleaning, I'd say majority of people are not, they're just doing it because they have to, but they're not cleaning this stuff. They're not like, it's certainly not like medical protocol.
And
anyway.
that's why the infections get worse, right? It's
Well, and
because people are not healthy in how they're using it. So suddenly they're getting sicker wherever you force them to do it.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that even the hospitals and stuff like that, they don't like it. My mom went to the hospital for unrelated reason, and she was told, like, when she walked in there, they were like, you can't wear that mask, because she had like one of those cloth masks, and they, like, in the hospital they don't accept cloth masks because they were like, you have to have an actual medical.
But they do in my grocery store, right?
Yeah, exactly, because the medical doctors actually don't agree at all about the cloth masks doing anything at all. They don't even use it in the hospital.
Knives are the only ones to have shown to have any effect on a virus, right? Your standard normal blue mask got no effect, right? My bandana, no effect whatsoever, right? Because the particle is too small. And one of the biggest lies they've said to us is, again, these guys always have a response. Well, it's not, yes, because they know the particle is smaller than the hole in the mask.
Sure.
So how do you get around that argument, right? You say, well, it's not coming in through the hole. You're getting it through droplets, like somebody sneezes, right? It's like,
yeah,
we've known since last summer, studies have shown that it's aerosolized, that it gets in the air, and it's not coming in droplets. So if it's aerosolized, it's tiny and it's going through your stupid little hole in your mask, right? But they never say that out loud. The WHO keeps saying, yes, it looks like the evidence suggests it's aerosolized. But let's move on, because if they focus on it, you'll know the mask can't protect you.
Yeah.
I love how somebody had made a meme about it, like your pants don't protect everybody else when you fart from smelling it. So that's not gonna, that's not doing anything when you put that shit on your face.
That's perfect.
That's actually pretty accurate. It goes back to the further. Thank God, at least in the United States, this is I think over. They will try, if they feel they've got a moment, to try to reassert things and get it back on the evil plan that gentleman was discussing. I think it's done. They've blown their wad, and the American people, the problem is, just in the last 2 weeks, more people are realizing there's a scam here. Even my friends last night, who I would argue on with Twitter, my screenwriter friends who are Fauci followers, for the first time last night, they were saying to me at dinner, yeah, Gavin Newsom's a scumbag. Our governor, who they were defending to me before, were like, yeah, this guy's a hypocrite.
Man,
He was telling us not to go to restaurants, but he's having expensive restaurants for himself. They finally feel safe to say it. And when they've said it now that there's something wrong with the official story, red pill, it's over. They're never going to go back to that story.
No.
Because people are feeling, and two, when people get more comfortable talking about it and they realize, like, oh, my neighbor feels the same way. And
at the dinner table, nobody got offended when he said, I think Gavin was a scumbag, right?
That's great. I mean, maybe that guy, maybe he'll get recalled. Who knows?
What do you think of the whole Caitlyn Jenner running for governor now?
And John, you've hit the issue. The problem is this, which is, he deserves to be removed from office. And the problem is this: the media is focused on clowns like Jenner, right? The media will focus on every non-credible candidate so that you don't hear about credible candidates. I mean, there's people that are business people and Republican politicians and others who are sophisticated people. I never hear their names. You never see any media interview of them.
I don't know who's running against Caitlyn
Jenner, who's going to lose and deserves to lose, right?
Yeah.
And we don't need Jenner, and Jenner doesn't want the job. It's this whole family of scumbags just wants attention, right? And we don't need them. But they're doing what they always do, which is come in and screw everything up, right? But my friend last night, even though he's willing to admit that Newsom is a bad guy and he betrayed us, as he himself said, he betrayed us. He said, I felt betrayed. I can say that now. I felt betrayed when Newsom was caught having all these like parties and things while he told us not to do anything, right? And his kids are like, he's got a teenage daughter, and Newsom was sending his children to private schools and telling people, California has the worst school situation, right? So, but he said, okay, I think Newsom will probably stay in, but he's going to be totally neutered. He's already been neutered, right? And so it's like he's just gonna, he may survive the recall, but whatever stupid plan that China had told him you got to do on our behalf is sort of done. He just wants to get out without going to jail. Just finish his thing and like survive and not be Andrew Cuomo, who I think is going to end up in jail. And,
Cuomo,
end up in jail, right? But yeah, this guy, I think Newsom just is like, he just wants to get the hell out of here and just finish off his term and then go and hang out on a yacht somewhere with some hot chicks. I mean, he's basically like this sleazy douche, right? And,
of course.
he's just like using this to get laid, basically. As he's that guy.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, thank you so much for the $5. Says, don't buy everything the internet tells you. Here in Canada, it's zoned, and if you go to a mall or Home Depot on a weekend, packed. People just move zones.
It's like I hear it's different cities. Like Toronto is different from Vancouver and whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But the problem is you do have some really bad situations in Canada that are real. They may be pockets, but they're bad, right?
They're very bad. I mean, there's bad stuff happening in Canada, especially in Ontario. Like Ontario is just, they've lost their minds over that.
I was saying, let's try to get the police to ask people, what are your papers? Why are you leaving? Why are you outside? And the police said, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, the police were like, no, we're not going to do that. That's ridiculous. And then
they tried to do that in Santa Monica. They're like, the police are going to enforce the mask mandate. Been here 1 year. Cops, you walk right by them. Half the time they're not. They've got it off their nose, right? They
hate this stuff just as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
Already people are hassling them. Cops' lives don't matter, but they don't want to be arresting people for stupid masking. They don't want to do it.
Who wants that kind of trouble?
Yeah, but the thing is that they have the option to. So if they're a psycho cop, then they can do it because they have the power to do it. But
I haven't seen that. I mean, there's been the police in LA, and the police in LA can be scary, but they're like, they know this is a line too far. They face a
Well, I mean, no, they full on arrested that pastor in I think it was in Calgary or in I don't know if it was Ontario.
He let people go to his church and whatever.
Yeah. So they have stuff done stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if they start doing that in the States, I think you would see, it's just kind of weird how you do see this difference between Canada and the States, because I feel like you start pulling that kind of stuff, you start arresting pastors or, any religious leaders in the States here. And I just feel like the uproar and the backlash of that is
even the Supreme Court has come out consistently, and I have some issues with this current Supreme Court, but I will say this: they have consistently come out and protected religious freedom in the last year. They've consistently shot down any effort to they shot down California and New York laws that said you can go to, and they've said it like, how is it that New York or California will allow you to go to a liquor store or bar, but you can't go to a church or a mosque, right? They've said it. I mean, and Chief Justice Roberts is always on the wrong side of that, but the majority has consistently said that, and they've graciously even said like churches, synagogues, and mosques. They've included
even in your crazy ass state, John, Michigan, they took away Whitmer's emergency powers and stuff like that.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was well, I mean, it's pretty close to what California was under, I guess. So it wasn't that far away.
Psychotic, man. She's a dangerous person. She basically, the Supreme Court of your state said, you don't have the power to do this. She's like, oh, okay, thanks for your opinion. See you later.
Gosh, man. I mean, I'm with you, Kamran. I think we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I hope, because I don't think these politicians, whether it's Newsom, whether it's Cuomo, or even, Whitmer, who did have her emergency powers taken away, they can't afford to take any more hits. It's like they can't. If they have 9 lives, they're on their last one at this point, and it's like,
and people, the mob they've created will turn against them, and they've created all these dangerous.
Well, they eat their own.
Yeah, they eat their own, and like Whitmer's she went on that stupid private plane jet. Even I heard about that recently, and I'm sure people in Michigan who didn't hate her before began to hate her then.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I get the feeling that people probably hate Newsom more, but no, definitely the opinion I think has changed with Whitmer here too. I don't, I think a lot of politicians are going to come out, I mean, South Dakota, Florida, Texas, they're going to be reelected for sure. But I think
I would vote for Kristi Noem. I got a big thing. She's hot, but she's also really good at her job.
Yeah, she's both. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think we probably have similar tastes in women. But no, I think
John finally broke the barrier. He said it out loud. Yes.
No, I think she is an attractive woman though, which I think some people would probably not find so much, but I don't know. I just find that she is.
I think she's attractive.
I don't know.
Well, how old is she? I think she looks pretty good for her age.
It's good for.
I don't know how old she is, but I think she's attractive too. And speaking of people who are attracted to women, Demogenai for $2 says breathing, using your chi and ki to perform the Hadouken. So yeah, that is a thing.
I've been taking karate classes in the last few. I was part of a karate studio here in Santa Monica that completely shut down because of this. Right?
Was it called Cobra Kai?
No, it's an old Shotokan thing that's been here for 40 years, big part of the community, but they shut down for a long time. And so I looked for a new thing, and I found in Glendale, which is like a 40-minute drive from my home.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes. Glendale, essentially another city, right?
Yeah.
I found a dojo where the master refused to let people with masks in. He said, you can't do this kind of martial art with a mask. It will kill you. Right? It will cause you brain damage, and I won't let you. He literally has a sign says there will be no masks allowed in this dojo for health reasons. Right? Mm-hmm. If you come here, you're gonna do this intensive karate stuff, and you're gonna breathe. And he talked about chi stuff. He said this is all energy.
Yeah, it's all energy.
I can't teach this if you're gonna make me wear a mask. I won't do it. And everyone, Glendale State has a mask mandate, but all the cops know him. He's at that studio for 40 years, that dojo. And like one parent complained when he wouldn't enforce the mask and her kid was coming and she took her kid out. And the cops were like, yeah, just leave him alone. Because he's like the pillar of the community that's putting a good path. And the cops all know him. They're like, yeah, we want the kids going to this dojo and not hanging out in that bad area over there. So yeah. Not going to worry about the mask.
Well, that's really good. Tim Possible for $2 says, FYI, Tim Talk was my OG channel, got canceled. I remember that, Tim. I remember that. That's YouTube for you. Demogenai again with another $2. Thank you so much. Talking about mask when your eyes are wide open. Yeah.
Which brings back to Eyes Wide Shut, which is what Hollywood.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah. That's a good movie.
Which has a lot of masks in it.
It does. Now I'm going to change topics a little bit here because I think we've talked.
And I've got about another 15-20 minutes. So
I do want to say what happened to the flu real quick before we get off of COVID. Because where did the flu go?
The flu is just. It's just COVID. Yeah, they're just labeling flu as COVID. That's all it is.
So I'm thinking just flu season. Are they going to try to pull? COVID numbers are up. We've got to,
I think so. I think it's coming.
Yeah, they will try. You're even getting like the New York Times and all these Washington Posts are asking like, what happened to the flu? Because, it's certainly a point of people that are asking. It's because the truth is it's just relabeled. A lot of these COVID cases, I do believe there's an actual COVID virus that is biologically distinct from the flu virus, even though they're similar families, right? But I think the way that they were testing for that, that PCR test, the way they were doing the cycles above like 30 cycles, any kind of leftover cold in your system is going to be counted as that, right? And so a lot of people who had the flu were being told that they had COVID. And now, amazingly, suddenly the WHO is saying, and the US is now doing this, right? It's now gone back to 28 cycles rather than 40. So suddenly the infection numbers are dropping because under 28 cycles, you can't detect anything, which is the natural cycle base for an actual deadly virus. It's not, it's under, if you haven't found it in 28 cycles, you don't have anything that's worth noticing. If you go to 40 cycles, you got a teeny wee little thing you found, it's still not worth noticing. But that's how they increase the numbers.
Hey, Jock Nerdy. That's very interesting stuff. So are you done? Are you guys done with that topic now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're done. That was my last question.
Is there any topic with hot chicks or no?
I looked for some specifically for you, Kamran. I couldn't find any.
Chicks never help with chicks. That John knows. Chicks never help with chicks. It's the way it works.
I was really hoping that there would be, because there has literally been like a hot chick story every week.
There's no wing women. It doesn't work.
But you know what? I did see this. Did you guys see this?
Okay, that's
terrified onlookers flee as Chinese skyscraper wobbles, triggers evacuation.
You got a video of that?
Yeah, there's video.
Yeah, instead Nina has a video of a phallic object.
There you go.
So we ask for women and then we get
okay.
Did I share audio?
Yeah,
it was playing. Yeah.
Okay, let me turn it down though, because I was pretty loud.
You don't want to hear screaming people like in the Godzilla movie?
That would be that'd be pretty scary. Gosh, they look like they're running from Godzilla. Yeah.
It's hard to see in this video. Oh no, I see the wobble there. I see like the chimney.
I'm trying to see the.
You could see a little bit of it, yeah. I can't tell where it is.
I'm gonna go to see if there's another video. Oh, this one. This is of the people running away.
Godzilla!
Godzilla! Here's another one. Oh, that's the.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like that's those two. I mean, on the inside, of course, it was definitely wobbling, right? But I mean,
it's like shaking around there, yeah.
Yeah,
look, that's not. Look, I've worked in China. Let's just say that doesn't shock me. You know, let's just say everything is not to code, including building standards.
Oh gosh,
you know, that's what happens when you got a communist country, right? Nothing's quite actually to code.
I mean, they don't know why it started shaking. It just started shaking because nothing else was shaking around it. It just was shaking.
Wuhan lab number 2, something went wrong.
Maybe they were creating Godzilla, like, beneath the building.
That's the next one after the alien invasion.
The building was evacuated and sealed shut after everyone inside was ushered out, according to the reports. Emergency management officials said in the statement that no earthquake was registered in the city today and that the relevant government agencies were looking into what caused the skyscraper to wobble. But that still really scary.
That'll freak you out. You see a building that size like start shaking.
I will say this. Having worked in China, worked with Chinese people and supervised Chinese writers. I helped them develop like a TV series. I worked on Nikita, so they wanted to do a spy series in China that didn't go on TV, went on their like the equivalent of their YouTube, iQIYI, and it ended up having like 400 million viewers, which is crazy, right? But I was there. I love the Chinese people, and I love ancient Chinese heritage and culture. I've studied it. I've studied Taoism, a lot of respect for it. The Chinese Communist Party is garbage. I mean, it's garbage. I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. I mean, it's terrible. It's a horrific situation, and it would be horrific for the planet if its culture got out. I've got like my spiritual teachers are in West Africa, my Sufi teachers, and in Senegal, and they were telling me the Chinese have over the last 10 years have essentially created a colony inside Senegal. Like they're colonizing Africa to take its resources. So they send workers there. They send workers there who en masse, like a few thousand arrive, then becomes a few million, right? And who are working the mines and this and that. And then they create essentially Chinese cities inside of Africa that are Chinese only. Yeah, worker camps, which eventually become cities. And so the Senegalese government has actually started cracking down because they're like, there's actual cities of Chinese foreigners in our country that are following their own rules. And it's like Senegalese law isn't there. And so they're like trying to retake control of their country physically from Chinese colonists. And so that's what's happening in Africa right now. And my own spiritual masters are like, yeah, we got to deal with this because this is all part of the Chinese Communist Party's effort. Again, it's not the Chinese people, it's the CCP's effort to colonize the planet, right? And the CCP ideology is destructive and dangerous. I've seen it, right? When I was there, there were my employers who I was working for, I was living in a hotel, and half the time, like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they would pick me up in a car to take me to the office. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I had to take a taxi because they weren't legally allowed to drive on Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. They didn't have the right pass for that. So the government would tell you if you could drive on the day, right? That's how much they control their lives. And I finally asked these people, and all of our scripts had to be reviewed by the government, right? And they would be censored, and I finally asked them, I asked my hosts, I'm like, why don't you guys revolt against this? None of you like this. I can tell you don't like this system, right? They're like, well, they took away our guns. Mao took our guns away. They were very clear, like China had rifles. Farmers, people were armed. It was an armed culture, right? And then during the Communist Revolution, Mao basically convinced people to give up their guns for their own safety and then never give them back.
Gosh.
They said there's no way to rebel against this. We're not armed like you guys in America are. So all you idiots who don't understand the Second Amendment, I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it from Chinese people saying, yeah, my grandfather had all these guns taken away from him. There's nothing you can do. They did, after the guns were taken away, they did whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, it's not so easy to get them back, once they take them away.
Yeah, people surrendered them. Again, they assumed that they heard the stories of like, this is for your own good, right?
Ugh.
trying to protect you from the violent, we don't want to get the evil nationalist capitalist guys getting your guns, so we're gonna hold on to them. It's like, whoop, no more guns.
Demogenite for $2 said, I meant your eyes are an entry point. We all thought
that's
he
correct.
meant, eyes wide shut, but he meant.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
And from a spiritual perspective, there's many traditions that talk about how energy comes in out of the eye, right? So
that's also, and the third eye, and
the virus, that's the thing is, one of the things Fauci said and they quickly took back because the implication, like last summer, remember he was saying for like a day, you got to wear goggles.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Viruses get in through the eye.
Because they get through the eyes, yeah.
And so, but then his controller said, that's too much. If people are going to, you tell them that, they're going to rebel, and then they're going to take off the mask too. So then he immediately changed it. He never brought it up again.
Good night, Hetty. Thank you for being here.
Hey, good night, Hetty. Good to see you.
Hetty Lamar.
So that's pretty much all I got. I mean, there was another story, but you have to go, don't you, Conrad?
I got a minute. Got another story. I got another minute. What do you
okay, I have one more story. It was just trippy to me because we talked about this the other day, John, when remember we were talking about like how the future is like of self-driving cars and everything like that.
Yeah, we talked about the pizza delivery, these self-driving pizza delivery cars.
So they have apparently self-driving taxis. I did not know this. This company is called
people with that. They've already had accidents where the people have died because the computer didn't recognize them.
Yeah, so this one was a crazy, this one nobody died, okay? But there was something crazy that happened. Citizen reporter Joel Johnson documenting some of his hair-raising experiences in San Francisco robot taxi cabs includes video. So this does include a video here, and it's a really long video, but it was just really interesting because the car just wouldn't do what it was supposed to do because there was cones in the street.
And it wasn't programmed for that circumstance.
It wasn't programmed for that circumstance. That's exactly what it was. And it was like literally freaking out. So this guy is just he's just sitting there and he's actually recording it and he's on a call with the people who are coming to basically
try to
fix the car. And he's like, right now, like the cars are going around it. At first it couldn't make a right turn, but then it did. And then it stopped in the middle of the road. Then it starts moving by itself after a while, it starts moving for like no reason. And then it almost gets into an accident with an oncoming car because it just starts driving. And then there's another point, like right now it's just backing up. Yeah, it's crazy. This is backing up while he's on the phone with the chick, telling him like this is not.
When do you get out of the car?
The doors were locked. The doors were locked, and he couldn't get out.
Oh my!
There's no human being to open the damn thing.
Yeah.
This would freak you out too, especially if you're on the freeway. Could you imagine a car going you're in a self-driving car going like 70 miles an hour or something? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe there's just some rando. For some reason or another, the connection's lost and this thing just doesn't break or whatever. I don't know.
Swerving lanes, this is insanity. I personally believe this should be illegal. I believe it absolutely should be illegal. There's even one person died and people have already died.
People have died.
It should be absolutely illegal. You need human beings to fly, drive these things, right?
This gets even crazier because the people finally show up, and then as they show up, the car drives away. Like as they're getting approaching the car drives away and goes a few other blocks. So they had to chase the car down again. When they showed up, the car just started driving away by itself.
Here, but it is objectively very dangerous. That's why the genius of the new Battlestar Galactica, it was 10 years ago, but the TV series that was the second, not from the 70s. The genius of it. The only reason, if you remember that show, the only reason that the Cylons, the androids we created eventually. Here we go. It's out of the van. It's running away.
It's running away.
He doesn't know where it's going. Oh my god! And it's swerving in the lanes.
It was mad. I was sitting there watching this last night, and I was like, why would this guy voluntarily get into this car? I don't even understand.
Probably never doing this again.
He's not going to do it again, and because again he thought it was cool, and I would never get into this car. It would never even occur to me. But I was thinking about this about the Battlestar Galactica. The idea of the Cylons, the androids we create, eventually make war on us. And the genius of the series, the only reason that the one ship, Battlestar Galactica, survived is that it was an old school ship that wasn't connected to a computer network, so they couldn't put a virus into it.
Yeah.
So the Cylons weren't able to connect to it and so they weren't able to retain control of their ship. All the other ships became automated and turned against the people and killed them.
Wow.
Yep. I love that story. Diego Flores for 10, thanks so much, says, as Tom said before, they had to turn off 2 AIs because they made their own language. 40K
What?
already said it. You do not trust the men of iron. Why don't they hear the warnings from sci-fi?
They do. Our sinister people know the warnings. They just want the bad outcome. I believe that. No, John, you don't know this incident? I've studied this incident.
Made their own language? This is like this.
It was code.
It was code, but it was dangerous. They had created, those bots like on a website. Here, I'm customer service. I can help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to test how could a bot recognize that it was communicating with a human and not a bot or another bot, right? Mm-hmm. So they had these 2 independently created bots who were going to communicate with each other, customer service bots. And within a millisecond, each bot figured out that the other thing it was communicating with wasn't a human being, but was a bot. And then they started creating their own computer language and talking to each other. And the coders didn't understand what these things were communicating to each other. But they literally
Shut them down.
pulled the plug out of fear.
Hell 9,000
of them. What they're doing. They've become sentient.
What the?
They've become sentient. They've created a language and a code that we've never seen between them. And they pull the plug because the experiment was so scary.
Yeah, you better. Oh my God. That is insane.
That's 2 years ago.
This is like Pandora's box or, like the tree of knowledge or, whatever you want to, like, it's the same thing. Like maybe we shouldn't tap into this or eat
and
this
I would
fruit.
suggest tree of knowledge. I would suggest I'm of the belief that this virus was created in that Wuhan lab, and that's tree of knowledge stuff, Pandora's box. What is the reason to know this? Well, we should know how we can make a bat virus transmissible to humans. No, you don't need to know that.
Right.
You don't need to know how to do it.
Yeah, nothing good's gonna come of that.
Nothing's good. Nothing good is gonna come of it.
There's no reason to do this unless you're creating a bioweapon, which is what it was. There is no objective science.
This is the first time it got stuck.
There is weaponry value. That's it.
Yep.
And Diego sends another 5. Thank you so much. Says, think of it how twins make their own language, just that they started plotting.
These aren't supposed to be conscious.
They're not supposed. Yeah, supposedly. Supposedly.
Well, I don't believe they're conscious. I don't.
No, they're not. They're not
conscious like we are. It's a similar kernel of consciousness, but the fact that it can do this, it's like a virus. A virus is not supposed to be a conscious living entity, right? Mm-hmm. That's what this is. It is something that will get out of control by its own logic.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I mean, I'm not down with AI. John knows very well how I feel.
I won't turn on the Siri on I have a Siri thing in my laptop. It turns on. I'm like, shut off, Siri. I'm not.
I don't use like the Google Voice stuff. I don't have a Google House thing. Like all my friends have it.
I don't use the cloud.
I don't either.
The cloud.
I don't either. I don't use the cloud. I tried.
Alexa too now.
Yeah, no, I don't have one of those. All my friends have like the Google Home, and they're like, "It's so great! It's so like easy and helpful."
Yeah, one day the Google Home locks them in and starts putting poison gas in the filter.
One of my friends actually did get locked out of her house because she had like one of those smart locks. She had one of the smart locks that was like attached to the smart home, and she could they wouldn't open the door. And I was like, "What if you had a gas leak? What if there was an emergency and you couldn't get out?"
That won't happen. It'll never happen.
Too much.
A virus won't. A genetically engineered bat virus won't escape a lab and go right to the food market next door.
Really quick last story. This one I was kind of sad because I was hoping that the video would stay on, but apparently he privated his Instagram, so I couldn't track down the video anymore because I wasn't following him. But apparently Derek Lewis knocked out some dude that tried to jack his car. And I did watch the video last night when I could, but he privated the video now. Do you guys do you follow Derek Lewis by any chance
No.
on Instagram?
No. But I mean, that's ballsy, and I respect that.
All I know is that guy Rob. He tried to steal the wrong car.
He tried to steal the wrong car, and like he punched him in the face. Apparently, he tackled him and punched him in the head, and that's why he's wearing this now. And there's his bruise from where he punched the guy, and he literally like showed the car, like in the video he showed the car, and there was like scratches on it, like I guess like he tried to use like something to break into the car, and he's like, motherfucker tried to steal my car. Like, motherfucker tried to steal my shit. That's what he said, like right into the camera, and it was the funniest thing. And I'm so sad that there's no more video of it. See, it's
talk about bad luck. Out of all the cars you're gonna steal, it just happens to be some guy like in the UFC or you know, an MMA fighter. Like,
it's this dude right here.
Like, yeah, I don't want to be breaking in that guy's car. I don't.
Like, dude, I just thought it was so funny. Yeah, there he is.
Well, before I go, I actually want you guys. I'm on Twitter right now. I've currently locked down my account because I'm doing a lot of pitches right now, and I don't need everyone in Hollywood going to my Twitter account right now. And so that's not going to lead to good things. But I'm actually you both follow me and I follow you, so I'm actually about to @ you on an incredible video that would be the last thing that we go off on.
Okay.
Okay. So take a look. It is. Did you guys see this video? It's like a video that shows a recent Russian army ad for the army to join comparing it to a recent ad by the U.S. government to join the army. And it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Let's watch it.
Russian ad, and then you saw the American ad, and you're like, okay, which guy would win the war here? It's really.
Oh wow!
You gotta see this.
Okay, let's see this. And Diego Flores for 5 says, "I still believe Beer Bug was just a sheer incompetence on part of the lab guys, since it did have a long record of failing security standards."
That's one possibility. I definitely believe it came from the lab. It could have come from incompetence. Personally, I just believe everything that's happened was so sinister that it started off in a sinister way. You know, when the whole thing is sinister, it feels like it was planned from the beginning. That's just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Because it's almost like it fell in our laps, and then we had this incredible plan of how to like that guy's plan that he thought out. Oh, it just Mac accidentally fell into my lap. That's not, if you're a villain. You don't accidentally wait to implement that plan. You find a way to implement it.
I think there's more to it too. There's like connections with Fort Detrick, and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we haven't even talked about. But yeah, it's complicated.
Ad of the future of warfare in these two countries. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Can you get it?
Okay, let's watch this. And also, Tim is asking if do you game? Let's start. I do game once in a while, but I've been so busy recently that I have not been able to.
In LA, game means you seduce women. And I'm like, my mom's in the other room, so I got to be careful what I say. So.
Oh, my God. Okay, hold on. I just pulled this.
Video. It's like a TikTok video. It's like 1 minute long, 30 seconds of the Russian ad, 30 seconds of the American ad.
Okay, hold on. Why? Because I have so many tabs. Okay, here we go. I found it. Here we go. Share audio.
Yeah, I mean, the first half is in Russian, but the visuals sell it. The second half is obviously English.
Okay, so Russian Army ad versus U.S. Army ad. Here we go.
Твоей новой жизни. Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сумел знать себя, познать границы своих возможностей?
Damn, these guys look hardcore.
А без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле главный враг – это задача выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by 2 moms.
What?
No.
I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
Твоей новой жизни.
Oh my God!
Что ты знаешь о себе?
Man.
Что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться
Who do you
без
want fighting for you? That's all I gotta ask.
Oh my God!
After watching that, like, I mean, what kind of people are you going to attract to the army? You know, it's like
Jordan
I can
Washington's
definitely-
like, I don't know about this. I don't know. I didn't expect it to go this way.
I did not think it was gonna go animated. Okay, that was really fucking weird.
It's animated. And she jumped from like her wedding, to like this like military thing.
like
It
what
looked
the
like a
hell
Disney
was
movie.
that?
I was like, what?
I thought it was going to be a complete replication of the Russia. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, they're kind of like the same, and that was not at all.
Yeah, this is America. The Russians are laughing, and the Chinese are creating Chinese are creating genetically enhanced soldiers, like Superman. They've been open about it, and this is what we're doing.
And the Chinese are also creating Godzilla like deep within the earth, so that's why their buildings are shaking and shit.
That it could be true. So we got a message from Diego here.
Diego, Kamran, before you go, if someone wants to learn about Sufi and Islam, is there a good resource? My ancestors were Moors, and I would like to understand their faith, though I'm Catholic, and go Russia.
Well, first of all, to answer the second part of your thing, I actually have developed a TV show set amongst the Moors, set in Moorish Spain. So it's about the war between the last Muslim sultan of southern Spain, of Andalusia, versus Ferdinand and Isabella, right, in the 1480s and 1490s. And so I hope to make that show, and I hope you'll be able to watch that, because I think it's a good epic sort of Game of Thrones set in Spain, a historical one. So that's one. With regard to answer that question, look, there's lots of resources, and with regard to Islam in general, there's a lot of bad resources out there. And if you're, if you actually just want to learn about it as how Muslims say it, because there's a lot of books you'll find critical of it, easy to find, right? But if I may suggest, the simplest place to start is like the Complete Idiot's Guide to Islam on Amazon, right? Those are Complete Idiot Guide. The one for Islam by Yahya Emmerich is actually pretty good. And so it covers the whole range of the culture, the civilization, the history, and the practices. And it's a good book as an intro. With regard to Sufism, which is Islamic mysticism, it's like Gnosticism is part of Christianity as a mystical side, or Kabbalah is part of Judaism as the mystical side, right? So Sufism, there's, again, a lot of books. But I would suggest, and you can get them all on Amazon, books written by this Indian Sufi master 100 years ago that remain to this day the best books on Sufism I've ever read. Hazrat Inayat Khan. Let me see. Do I have a copy here? Do I have a copy that I can show you guys? I don't know.
I like Al-Arabi too. Al-Arabi is a great Sufi.
Ibn al-Arabi is really hard to read, I think. And so the first, I think the most simple introduction is this guy, Inayat Khan, Inayat Khan, and his books are available on Amazon. He wrote them 100 years ago, like the 1920s, and they're still the best books on the Sufi mystical tradition, because he wrote them for an American audience that knew nothing.
Okay.
Right. And so in the 1920s, and so they're really accessible, and they're very powerful spiritually. I think even, as a Christian, as a Catholic, you'll find value in them, because that's what Sufism tries to do, is it tries to, it tries to find universalism and connect with people of all faiths. And so that's that thing. So if you guys want to look into that, and if you want to find negative stuff, I won't give you that information. There's more than enough out there.
No, there's a lot out there.
You can Google it. And
there's way too many. Kamran, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure speaking with you again.
Absolutely.
Do you want to plug anything before we go?
Let me see. I got my books. I want to show my books on. I'll be back.
Okay. Great guest.
Yeah. We didn't even get into any Hollywood. We didn't even get to any really Hollywood stuff with
We
Kamran.
got like some Warner Brothers stuff, and I shared some
No, that's true.
stories. I shared with the wacky stories of my actress who was seducing the grips, right?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was a good
I
story.
think the audience liked that too.
Well, I actually found one of the books by that author I mentioned, the Sufi author. So let me see. This guy, you see his name, Hazrat Inayat Khan. This book, Mastery, is a really good book, which is all about, for all of you, those who are like conservative economically, it's actually all about how to, becoming successful in the material world, like through your business, through your profession, is core to the spiritual path. And it's a really powerful, inspirational book, again, written 100 years ago, about how by becoming a master of your job, of your business, of your profession, if you can't do that, you actually aren't on the spiritual path. Like all those people like, no, I don't want materialism. It's like, nah, man, you're just avoiding the practical realities of life, right? So that guy's a really good author for just general spiritual stuff and Sufism. And plugging my own stuff, so I got 2 books, which are in the links here. So one of them, Mother of the Believers, is my name. Mother of the Believers. A little reflection there from me. Kamran Pasha, and then there's another one. This is Shadow of the Sword. So Mother of the Believers, a historical book. Again, if you're interested in the history of Islam, it's a novel from the point of view of Muhammad's wife, Aisha, who's a very controversial figure. People insult, like I said, we start off at the very beginning. People who insult Muhammad, they'll say, well, he was a pedophile. He married a very young girl. This is the novel from her point of view, and it's based on her account of she actually gave a massive account of her life with him, and I novelized it, right? And so that's a way to look at the very thing that people critique him on, to see it from her point of view, right? And then the other novel, Shadow of the Swords, is on the Crusades. It's about Jews, Christians, and Muslims during the Third Crusade, and there's good guys in all three communities, and there's bad guys in all three communities, and so which I think reflects reality. So
very cool.
Awesome.
And the links for those is in the description. I did put your Twitter in there too. Did you want me to take that out?
It's fine. Right now, my Twitter is locked because, and
Okay.
I'm ready for practice. People can request it, and I'm going to check out your page. If your page looks
Okay.
like you and I are going to argue a lot about religion, I ain't going to be accepting it.
Okay,
I just
perfect.
don't want weirdos and any other weirdos.
Sure.
Lucasfilm weirdos that kicked me off last time. But I mean, I've got to keep ever since I've come back, I've got to keep it a little controlled and locked, because aside from the fact I don't want my adversaries who kicked me off to do it again. I also, right now, like I said, I'm in the middle of pitching several TV shows to networks and Netflix and that stuff. I don't need those execs going on my Twitter feed and not liking my hot chicks and stuff like that. It's not going to help me. Thankfully, they're not watching this channel, so hopefully they won't see this either.
Gypsy Warrior also says, have a look at British Army ads. They're cool. Have you seen any of those?
As somebody whose people were colonized by the Brits, I'll pass on that one, man.
Oh my God.
We've already seen the British Army ad when they took India, okay, for 200 years. We've seen it.
I am curious though, so maybe we'll watch that next time, Gypsy Warrior. Thank you so much for the super chat. That American one though, man, because I used to see that, like I used to see the American Army ads all the time when I watched the NBA, which was all the time, like couple of years ago. After this whole thing happened, of course, they went woke and I stopped watching. And now apparently this is their new Army ads, and their Army ads were really. They were good. They were like the Russian one, like dudes climbing walls and jumping from the helicopters and like being Marines.
And they would have like recent years. It was like, okay, we got to have the black woman with the big gun, and that's okay because it's a cool ad. They had the personal color and whatever. But now it's like, what is this? The whole ad is about same-sex marriage, which is fine. But what does that do with the army?
Exactly.
What the fuck was that? Like, I can't because at least they would still show people from jumping from like helicopters and like parachuting and like shit like that.
Moms that I learned about her journey in the army, and I learned everything about that Russian dude's journey. He's out there, he's jumping out of planes, he's in the snow shooting people. I know what that dude's journey is.
It's like who's it gonna appeal to? Like young Russian boys, like they're already getting primed. They're like, man, that looks like freaking. I'm
gonna get kick ass action hero. And here it's like the problem is the people this is the stupidity. The people that they are marketing it to, who are more obsessed with their two moms, are not they're not thinking in nationalist terms of defending our freedoms. Most of them, they just ain't thinking of, because they're taking our freedoms for granted to the point that they're critiquing our freedoms.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's absolutely mental. I'm really glad that you shared that though. That was crazy. John, did you have anything you want to plug before we go?
No, just I would say, check out Kamran's books. And definitely if you follow him on Twitter, don't give him trouble.
Respect each other. Let's respect each other. My policy is tweet and let tweet. I've had, like I said, a lot of my friends are tweeting lots of stuff on Israel and Palestine that I don't agree with. I just let them tweet because they're my friends. I don't need to engage them. Well, that's their opinion. God bless them. I'll share my opinion. But if you want to come in and say, "Hey, aggressive asshole," let's be buddies after that, it don't really work.
No, I get it. And you know what? My general advice is everybody out there, let's chill the out. Everybody take a chill pill, whatever you want to call it. Just chill out on Twitter. Stop getting involved in all the drama and just do some self-reflection and just everybody calm down. do some breathing, practice some breathing, and
it's
maybe
legal now. It's legal. You can breathe.
yeah, just breathe. You know, it's okay. Everyone, we're gonna be okay. And once again, I want to thank you, Kamran.
Breathing.
He's ready to do those
It feels great. I haven't done it in so long. It's been outlawed. You should try it, everyone. Try it. I think that's the problem here. We've found the problem here. We're not breathing.
So this is what we're gonna. Your new channel is John Talks Tantra. I'll watch that channel. Like you're
There we
Tantra,
go.
and I'll watch it. John Talks
I think
Tantra.
just John breathes. That'll
John
be
breathes. John breathes. There we go. Oh
All
my
right,
God.
here we go.
All right.
Lord willing, next time.
All right, Kamran.
Absolutely. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat. Thank you for all the super chats, everything like that. We'll see you next Wednesday on John's channel. Take care, everybody. Bye.